And we are live here at Collegiate Karting League Division 4 Finals. I am Ted Bear, joined today by Air Hockey. Hawk, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited for finals today. We've been having finals kind of slowly trickle in for the league. This one's going to be really great, and I'm very excited for tonight.
I'm incredibly excited as well. This is going to be one heck of a matchup. Both of these teams in California State Long Beach and the Florida Gators, they're just so they're just so skilled and so good at the game. It's going to be such a pleasure. It's interesting to note that while most of the other divisions that have played their finals, it's been the conference champions representing the both sides of the finals bracket. For Division 4, both Long Beach and the Florida Gators came in as the wild card spots behind the top two seeds, the University of Arizona and University of California, San Diego. Um, it's interesting to note, too, that these two teams are the only teams in the division that beat Arizona during the season as well. Arizona was kind of pegged as the odds-on favorite, but both of them got the upset, and now they're here in the finals, ready to try and get their school's first collegiate karting championship.
Absolutely, yeah. Finals is always great. Battle it out in the wild card spots and make it in is always great to watch.
It is. It is, and I am so excited to watch this match. On California's side, we have, of course, Raspada, Star Platinum, Watt, Zane Witter, Miniature, and Cuso. And over on the Florida Gators, you have their super strong duo of Max and Hobby, joined by Woofle, Drizzy, DC270, and Motion 3. The story of Division 4 has always kind of been the hard carries, right? You have, 1 to 2 really immaculate players, I would say, on each team, but both these teams just have such a strong lineup overall, I'd say. I mean, Raspada and Hobby, definitely some of the really strong big hitters for their schools. Max, Zane Witter, and Star Platinum, just really great runners there for their main guys. Really good supporting cast. It's interesting to note Zane Witter, I believe, was actually on UCLA in the previous CKL seasons, but I believe he is doing a grad school program in Long Beach, and he's come into the program with his experience from the last 2 seasons, and it's definitely helped them out. They've reached finals in their first season. It's such a nice it's a nice story for both teams. UF last season as well. They were in Division 4. They were plagued by gathering issues. They had to forfeit a lot of matches, but they've come back stronger. They come back with a more reliable cast of players to join Max and Hobby, and they've made the run all the way here to Division Finals.
Yeah, no, both these teams have pretty solid records for their season. Like they've both had positive records overall. There's a lot of similarities I can draw here with that wild card spot to get in. They've both got a pretty strong core with a lot of really good players who've improved a lot throughout the season behind them. Florida, you've got Max and Hobby. Long Beach, you've got Raspada and Zane. And everyone else on their team's been putting the work in and has improved a lot. Like, if you look at, even just taking a glance at the end of charts, you see, like, Watt's been doing some really good work. You see Woofle's been doing really well. Star Platinum's been doing great. Miniature. It's going to be close. I think we're probably seeing a game 3 tonight. These two teams are pretty evenly matched.
I would say so too. It looks like we're going to be going to UF's pick, Coconut Mall, to start. I believe both teams are also playing without the repick rule. Race number 1. Here we go.
Looking like the starting spots are a little bit interesting. We're seeing a lot of blue Yoshis in the back to start. That does look like the Florida color here.
It does indeed, and also we see a lot of funky character picks here for Long Beach. I see a Shy Guy, a Toad, a Villager. They're leaning more on the unconventional side for their lineup makeup. It looks like.
Bit of an unfortunate bump at the start for Kuso, but absolutely not an awful place to be on Coconut Mall. Being in the back is definitely fine on this track. A lot of ways to make things up. And you see he's already started working his way back up. Coming from getting bumped out at a cut at the beginning, pulling no mushrooms, already working his way up to the mid-pack behind a lot of Florida players. 2 Florida players getting hit by that red there. Very fortunate lag, and they're already back up to 6th.
It does look like we have a Florida player in the front. We do not know who that Daisy, what team they're on, but we do see, I believe, at the very least, a 3-4 for Long Beach right now.
A lot more really unfortunate bumps by Kuso, getting bumped out of cut there, bumping again. A little bit of pinballing, but they're still able to recover in a pretty good spot. You know, pulling power items, of course, never a bad place to be. Having a dodge is always great.
Yep, and we see a blue shell out as well.
Hobbies in ninth. Looks like that's going to hit Long Beach's runner up there. You see motion now with triple reds right in front of Kuso here. Got a star and bullet in sixth. Really, really great items right now.
It's a very strong item pull. Oh, but he's going to get redded out right before the cut, unfortunately dropping down to 12th place. Thankfully, they do have the bill for afterwards, though.
All right, we're going to hold the build there. Looking like we're just kind of chaining dodges right now. You're probably set for the rest of the race at this point, because if you get shocked at this point, you're going to be on glider, and that's not that bad, especially in seventh. You're not going to be small for that long.
Nope. Oh, the triple green's blocking a red, but unfortunately getting redded out by a ghost. It looks like Kuso will drop into last place. Unfortunate race for them. But we see here a 2-3-6 for Long Beach to start. Not bad spots.
It should be slightly positive for Florida, if my mental math is correct. Yeah, it's a +4 race for Florida to start. Yeah, you saw Kuso had triple greens for the end. Ooh, we're getting a bit of a replay here with Woofle now.
going to Woofle's POV. Woofle, I believe, had a decently high placement too, so...
I mean, if we saw from that ending chaos, it was great to have here. That's going to keep you safe for the rest of the race. There's those trip reds into ghosts we were talking about earlier.
And there's Zane getting blocked by the car, and there's Kuso coming right in front of them. And Woofle's able to grab that 7th place for his team behind Max and Hobby getting 1-4, DC as well in 5th. Yeah, nice start for Florida, I'd say.
Very good start for Florida, yeah. That straightaway at the end can be a little bit of a death corridor. I mean, you saw, like, even Kuso having triples still got hit out in the end. Like, that protection was enough for the first half, but not that last turn. So they did a really good job there, staying out of, like, that whole kind of Death Valley situation.
And we did see, I believe, everyone on Florida is dark blue. So it seems that Long Beach has all of the non-Yoshis plus the yellow Yoshi. Here we see UF go for Mount Wario versus Twisted Mansion. I'd say these are pretty typical picks. Hockey can tell us more.
Yeah, for sure. I think Mount Wario, you know, probably makes a lot of sense here. You know, you got an anti-1 bots. Twisted MD, you can pick it from wherever. Looks like that was another Florida pick.
It was indeed. Nice work for Florida to kind of get their track picks early. I mean, they're starting out as the away team for match 1. So being able to kind of get your pick, especially when traditionally the host team would be the top spots, especially for race 1, having a good starting race, a +4, into a second track pick that you know your really strong duo of Hobby and Max could play on, that's a really good... It's a really good start for them, I'd say, overall.
Yeah, I was saying, a bit of an unfortunate red there out of the midair for Woofle, especially with no speed item to recover. Does look like that red's going to get Watt. But, you know, pretty standard start to Mount Wario. It's a bit of a kind of, you just gotta drive forward and pray. So he's doing about as good as he can with that right now. Looks like a pretty good cycle for the boost panels here. Probably going to be able to hold that third.
Yep, he's going to be able to take the little cut here by the glider if they choose to use it, which looks like they will. Oh, what incredible bomb snipe!
Getting them. Insane bomb snipe. Are able to recover pretty quickly with these trees here to get some boosts back. Nana Ghost in third. That is a great pull. Unfortunate blue there, but they are going to be able to keep third. It does look like they've got a bit of a gap right now, and with a dodge in third place, that is a great spot to be. You can just avoid all that ending chaos on Mount Wario.
especially if your team pulls shock here. I mean, that could be a free first place. They enter Ghost, get a green shell.
I think Raspada might be a little too far in front of them to be able to do anything with this plant, but I think they're just going to use this to get some distance on everybody else. I think I agree with that play. Able to chain that into doubles. Are they going to pull defense? Can't get it out in time. They do have a mushroom to recover right
Unfortunate.
after.
He does have the red shell, but his teammate's in front of him, so he can't throw it out just yet. Unfortunate ending there for Woofle, but it does look like a lot of his team was able to get up into the front at least.
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of blue, and that looks like it too. Yeah, we see a lot of blue in the top 9. Pretty good race for Florida again. It's probably going to be close to even, but we're seeing a lot of even races. So it's going to be a lot of just.
And I'd say, especially with the skill level of both teams, these are about the types of races we'll see. You know, with Division 1 or even Division 2, right? You have a lot more, I'd say, knockout talent that could just completely blow the other team out of the water on either end. But I'd say this is probably the most even matchup we'll have. I mean, we've seen it so far. Both races have been very small victories for Florida. A +4 into a +2 for race 2. You know, I could see double-digit races start happening, especially on kind of the more specialized tracks like Blue Lake here, a pick for Florida. But I also just wouldn't be surprised if all it is like you said earlier, nickel and diming the other team until it's over.
All right, we are coming back for race 3. We're back to Twisted Mansion. Long Beach is getting that pick now. And yeah, that was only a +2 race for Florida. We're still at a gap of only 6 after 2 positive races for Florida. That is almost as close as it can get.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're seeing starting on mid spots in Twisted Mansion. I don't really think there's a bad spot to start in this track, but pulling a shroom at the first set is great. Getting bumped out of the cut is
Very
not,
nice.
though.
Unfortunate bump. Thankfully, this is a track where you can recover from something like that happening, though.
And taking a glance at the minimap and the placements, doesn't even look like he was the only one that got bumped out there, which is perfectly fine. I mean, there's a reason this track gets picked from the back so much, because, you know, you got shock pulls, you can pull blue. Pulling just about anything can immediately bring your race right back.
Great awareness there from Woofle to kind of back off from getting the double box. It looks like Zane was too much. Zane was a little too close, or he was a little too close to Zane, so Zane would get that double. He wouldn't really be able to get it, and was able to recognize it, swerve out of the way, grab a box, and get a shroom from it. And now he's got a shroom in 5th for the cut.
Double shrooms in 5th even. Yeah, everybody's track awareness this match has been really good. Like, everyone's team play has just looked really solid so far.
Yep, and right now, as we're in the middle of lap 2, it looks like a 2-3-4 all belonging to UF, a lone California Long Beach player up there in the front. That would be Watt.
That might even be 2 through 7 from Florida taking a glance at the map, but that's not necessarily the best place to be on Twisted Mansion. You know, you don't want to give the other team full odds for shock, which it looks like might be happening right now.
Yep, and Raspada is there in the back, I believe. Raspada is a really good player. They have a really great awareness for items. I could definitely see them being able to pull shock.
Woofle did fall back a little bit, but that's not a terrible thing to be dropping back right now. But it's an unfortunate timing with how those trees hit them. And now we see from Kuso over in the back, we see we've got some mushrooms to take cut up here. Immediately making up a couple spots right away, going from 10th. Back red hitting them, not good at all.
Nasty back. I believe that was from Drizzy from Florida's side. Really great awareness to just throw it on such a congested part of the track where everyone's going to be kind of swerving to get the doubles there.
But you see Kuso's got blue there, though, and Florida's got top 2, so not great, especially after that last item set. I don't think there's any horns left. Kuso's starring out another Florida player. They're going to be able to make some spots up here with that. There might have been a shroom at first, actually. I'm not seeing a big slowdown from that blue.
I think it might have been a horn. That looks like a top 2 for Florida. But a 3-4-5 for Long Beach, maybe? Yep, Long Beach getting a lot of mid spots.
They got bottom 3 from Florida. I don't know how they did that, but very good work by Long Beach, especially if you bag on Twisted Mansion. You have full odds almost the entire time and don't pull shock. Managing to keep your team out of getting bottom 3 is great, and they made some points up with that. We're at a difference of only 2 points after race 3 right now.
Yep, so that's a +4 now for Long Beach. 2-point lead for the Gators. So far, of the 3 races as we come to the end of the first Grand Prix, the biggest score has kind of just been +4. This is incredibly tight right now to start out.
Yeah, I don't think, and we're only 3 races in, so obviously things can change. But yeah, this is probably one of the tightest matches, at least early on, I think I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, usually, not to disparage on some other teams that were in finals for their divisions, but it really did feel like we'd see a lot of top 3, 6, 7s immediately to start out and big leads that become really insurmountable at the start, as opposed to this really close, really gritty battle here.
I mean, I've seen so many moments for somebody where I just see things where, like, if I'm in that position in normal where I think, oh, my race is over, I'm coming 12, and just every race just keeps being so deadlocked. Seeing on Electrodrome now, probably a rarer track, but I didn't quite see. Yeah, pretty standard start.
This is a pretty unique track, I'd say, for CKL. I don't see it played often now. I have played in scrims versus Long Beach, and I do know that they prefer this track. Let's see if Florida has done their homework and will be able to, maybe counter them on this track.
One normally Pink Pat's faster. You can take some better lines on it. Looking like they're doing a very good job getting coins here. Unfortunate Nana's back on them by Mini, but they are still able to chain those triple shrooms and get 3 more trip shrooms out of it. Got quad shrooms in 12. Not a bad spot to be in at all.
Yep, and they're going to be able to go right here for the
cut.
coins. Who is unable to grab the coins, unfortunately. Went a little bit too tight, but it's not the end of the world.
Very good work keeping those trip shrooms to chain it set here. Nice golden pull.
It looks like a top 2 break for Florida right now. Oh, and just as I say that, the blue shell is thrown.
We're seeing some back presence by both teams right now. Two in the back Florida, two in the back Long Beach. Looking like that's shifting to a 3-1 split now. Chalk could be really good here, especially if you could lock the other team out and take that ending cut. Really good things can happen.
Kuso bumps around there on the railings, able to get some really good power items out of it.
Gonna start through this cut here and start making up some ground. Very good work there. We do see a top 3 from Florida right now. You do have to be careful if you're letting them get too big of a gap. That is going to be pretty hard to crack, especially as they're starting to form a bit of a gap. A second blue pull is just what you need to make that happen, though. The danger now is if any of them has a shroom, if they see it in time, that blue's not going to do anything.
I don't know. It doesn't look like Hobby has anything to dodge it with. He does not, but Woofle is able to take first place here.
And double defense in 1. Probably got that first place secured. Very good UMT glider by Woofles as well. Looking like they're going to get first here. This might
phenomenal
still be a
tight line, too.
Really good line at the end there. I do think somebody made up second from Long Beach at the last second.
It looks like 2 of them were able to take the cut right there. Yep, Raspada and Mini. Hobby still able to get 3rd and Max right there in 5th. A 1-3-5 for UF. I believe that will be a victory for them.
Should be a positive race, yeah. And you see there again, like even with such a solid top 3 that Florida's got running right there, and you see they've got a pretty solid break, and at the end, Long Beach can still turn it into a 1-3-5. That cut at the end is a lot. And that's a +2 race for Florida through it all.
Yep. Another really, really tight race. I mean, this is kind of the story right now has just been both these teams are locked into the trenches. I believe when they played against each other in interconference play, I believe it was also a pretty close victory. I want to say it was within 30 points.
And I'm checking really quick to get a fact check on that very fast.
And we're going to see
difference of 14 points when they played the first time in their conference.
Okay, not super bad, but we do see the Wildwoods pick here for University of Florida. This is a pretty typical runner, and I'd say for 1-3-5, this would be a decent, a pretty typical pick, I'd say.
I think Wildwoods is one of those tracks that just everybody loves, and everybody kind of learns it because of it. I've never heard anybody say they don't like Wildwoods,
And this is I'd say this is a pretty strong running track, especially for a division like Division 4. Raspada's going to get a really nice trail there on Woofle start.
Kind of start to get a bit of a break going. Woofle, very good work getting some coins back up. Looking like pretty tight at the top, but this is usually where the gaps kind of get maintained. It's very hard to start getting a real big breakaway here. Gonna chain into
Yep.
doubles there in 12, getting quad shrooms out of it. Very good.
The
Just
pack
far behind enough
starts
that you're getting
to
those coins back.
Yep, the pack starts to develop just a little bit more, and I believe it's really close, but I believe it's a top 2 Florida right now. We do see some Long Beach players making their way up to the front now. It looks like a Long Beach top 2 potentially. This pack is really intense right now, really close.
Yeah, Long Beach in top 2. Looks like Raspada's in the back. Somewhere back there, definitely a lot of Long Beach up there. Florida's got a lot of back presence, but not a ton of bottom 4 spots, which isn't great if you're trying to pull shock right now. And I'm seeing a Rang by there by Florida as well. And the danger with that is that you very easily can hit your teammates. Not a great item to have when you have so many teammates around you. Looks like they're doing good. Haven't seen any team kills yet. Very good to see. Doing a really good job holding on to that Rang, fighting the temptation to use it.
Yep. Oh, but he's able to get the back there on the Florida player. Really good timing with that Rang to use it. And now it looks like there is a Florida player in first, but it looks like all Long Beach up there as well.
We saw a
Outside
really
of
good
that.
fire by Watt right there as well. Florida is starting to run out of time to catch up on this race, but it does look like they've got some pretty good front presence. They've got a pretty safe first right now, unless something crazy happens, which is great to see.
Yep, and we cut here into the next perspective with Kuso, and I believe that is Ooh, Mini getting hit out by his teammate, it looked like. Maybe that was lag. We'll
Could have
see,
been
but
lag.
it
We'll
looked
see
like
in a
that.
second, yeah.
It was indeed. Okay, that's a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Long Beach, and 10. That's going to be a really great race for them. This is going to be probably our first big result this match so
First result
far.
of more than 4. It's 5 races in,
For
we
sh-
saw it. All right, looks
for
like that was a
sure.
plus 14 at a glance. Yeah, we're seeing they're up 12 now. So there's our
Yep,
first race
really
with a
good
difference of more
race.
than 4 points. Yeah, and if every other match is like that, that could just decide the entire match with only 7 races left.
I mean, with how close it's been, I still wouldn't say it's very definitive. It is a really nice result, you know. I mean,
Oh,
you're
there's no
deadlocked for
way,
so
for sure.
long. You're deadlocked for so long, but now you finally had something flip your way like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting. They're going Wii Rainbow Road to try and stack that momentum.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Weibo,
Florida
I'd say,
looks
is a
like it's
pretty
going.
safe anti-1 pick, especially with a 2 through 6. That is a dominant anti-1 spots.
However, it's going to be another Florida track pick, it looks like.
Very fortunate timing to get Shroom Ridge. You know, Weibo is just one of those tracks where if you get that break, it just, you can do everything in your power to try to break it, but there's just too many boost panels. The track is too long. Just the size of the breaks you can get is huge. So a very clutch track pick there for Florida.
They've been getting a lot of their track picks this war, which for Long Beach to get that kind of big victory on Wild Woods, pretty much it's really nice, you know. We saw, I believe it was Maryland versus Virginia Tech, where Maryland couldn't get their track picks in match 2 for their life, but they were just able to do really, really well on the Virginia Tech tracks. That when it finally flipped in their favor, they had a massive race that clinched the whole game for them.
Yeah, we're seeing early on in this race, we saw a pack kind of formed at the beginning just based on how people are getting out. We're seeing Kuso got hit a lot early there in the back. Looks like Raspada, another Florida player, chose to be back here. We'll see if that pays off for them. Kuso going to get Boo out, get Boo going, pick up another triple shrooms from the Boo. We say Raspada's back here, could be bagging, could just be getting hit out early. I think it's too early to tell. Gonna choose to hold or dodge that set. Very interesting, but I like it.
Spreading out, but it looks like there's only really one Florida player here in the back as we cut now to Woofle's perspective. Yep, that's a top 3 for Florida right now. Zane in 4th, though.
Florida does, they just popped into a ghost, but Florida's also got 12th right now, pretty far back. I think we're pretty likely to see a shock pull by that. We're seeing another bullet come out from that Florida player in 12th.
Really great awareness there from Woofle to not get greedy trying to hit out Zane with the fire with his teammate right there. Instead, he gets the draft and just cleanly passes him. Though Zane's able to take a tighter line, but looks like his green defense blocks Woofle's green, but Woofle has the shroom now to get in front of him.
They both got hit by that car there. Woofle is able to recover pretty well.
Yep. Oh, that's a top 4 for Florida, but Woofle gets bombed out as he was trying to defend his teammates from the Long Beach players, and now he is out. But it looks like a really solid top 2 for Florida right now.
Yeah, looking like 1's pretty safe for Florida at this point. They're about to cross the line. 2 might be changing. I think I'm seeing Zane taking a 2 now.
And
Woofle
Woofle's
made
able
up
to get back up
4.
here to the front. Woofle's able to get back up here to 4.
I looked at the map for 3 seconds and Woofle was in 4th. How'd that happen?
And it really, oh
Oh
no, a disconnect
no!
from Woofle's end,
Woofle
but
DC'd.
they got the point. They crossed the line and they got the points at least. And considering the spots where it looked like a lot of Long Beach in the front outside of 1 and 4, really great on his end to be able to get that race. But it looks like even despite not getting their track pick, Long Beach was able to stack that momentum, and now I believe this is a 16-point lead, gaining a +4.
Picked up a couple of points there, yeah. Looking like they're gonna go Weibo again. Pretty solid spots,
And
especially if 4th place is disconnected. You know, it's like you've got almost everything behind one. Once again, definitely the right call.
there we go. It looks like he was able to join just in time. Florida holding their track picks to make sure he got in. We're at the very, yep, nope, he is in the game. So thankfully, you are not 5v6ing race number 7. It is unfortunate that you lost 4th place, but it's not the end of the world. You know, this is definitely a spot that Florida can recover from.
Yeah, having more people in the back, especially if they're picking Boo Lake, I think more back presence, and that Gambit paid off there. I don't think the DC was on purpose, but I think it's fortunate to have more people in the back at the start of Boo Lake. I feel like for how short Boo Lake is, the amount of things that happen on it in a given race is just really disproportionate, and I feel like this is just going to be another example of that. A lot of bumps. You're hearing the bump sounds already at the start.
Yep, Kuso here in the front. Ooh, gonna be unfortunately redded out
Reddit
there
in
by
11th.
DC.
You
Yep.
hate to see it.
It will be able to give Long Beach a little bit of back presence, though. It seems like most of them are running. We have a lot of UF players here in the back.
Got chaining triple streams at this first set. Pretty standard. We're quad streams in 9 now. Hitting the first part of rail cut. Really nice to see there.
Ooh, Raspada accidentally
unfortunate back by Raspada there, yeah.
Backing their teammate. Cut to Woofle's perspective, has the Shroom and the Star, pops it, elects to not run into Raspada and tries to just outdrive them. Gets in front and is able to, it looks like, create a little bit of separation between them so the red shells won't be thrown. A very risky play that pays off.
Strong blooper pull by Woofle there.
Oh, but the shock, and it dodges a player.
Really good ground trims there. Immediately big again, and you got those ground trims. You're making up spots right away. And Star in 5th.
And a Star in 5th.
Really
Plus
strong.
you dodged the player in the build. That is crazy.
Florida's got a top 3, 5, 6 now.
Yep.
This could be a huge race for Florida if LB can't make something happen. Watt's holding the line the best he can. Zane is making up some spots now. A couple of Long Beach have managed to bring it back up a little bit. You got to pop that Star in some point.
And Zane. There's a Star to dodge the shock. That is crazy.
Another dodge at the end. Woofle making up 6th. Very good race for Florida.
Incredible. I don't think he gained any spots off of the shock, but it's able to, at the very least, you know, not lose any. And a very nice race there for Florida. I believe Long Beach got bottom 3.
Florida had, I believe, top 3 and 6 to 8 there. Yeah. Very late shock, but still a very powerful one. If that shock happens maybe a half second earlier, I think Florida makes up so many spots there.
Yep, I think that was, and now Florida's back in the lead. That was 2 shock pulls for them.
Huge race for Florida there. That was a +30, I think, at a glance. That was a swing of 28 or 30 points or so. Florida's up 12 now.
That is a very nice swing in their favor, especially now as you're getting those big races now when you're kind of deadlocked for a lot of the game. When you start having these big races late, it could be, this is where it can become now pretty insurmountable. Game's not over, especially now that we're going to Snowland.
That's a Long Beach track pick to go to Snowland this time.
Yep.
Very fortunate she picked up that track pick there for Long Beach. You know, especially the top 3 starting position. I think what makes Snowland so brutal starting from the front is just the complete lack of coins, because there are so few to pick up on this track, and you have to go so out of your way for them.
Yep.
You see, Woofle's going to stop at his first set
Woofle's going to be able to slow down. Probably will pull a Shroom. Yep, Shroom red. Trying to grab the coins. Mini, she is right there in front. Thinking about going for the cut there, but deciding against it, redding out Mini instead. Now Woofle pulls triple shrooms with plant in pocket. Minnie gets rid of her greens in front of Woofle, but Woofle's able to get a draft and a shroom in order to pull ahead. Woofle has really, really good driving, I'd say, throughout this whole game so far.
No, I've been very impressed by his lines. Yeah,
they're making very smart plays throughout.
That pull of the shrooms and plant there can be so powerful, but it's a bit of a gambit to go for it. Because if you shroom up and you land in front of 3 Long Beach players and you got that plant, you've just broken a top 3 run so quickly. But if you're doing it in front of Florida people, you're kind of got to play itemless the rest of the race. So I think it is probably a smart idea to burn this plant now.
Yep, they unfortunately missed the cut, but it didn't lose them too many spots. Now, Long Beach does have top 3 here. We see Zane, Watt, and I want to say, I don't believe it's Raspada. I believe it might be Star Platinum up there. But we see Woofle with triple shrooms again, going for the cut one more time. This time he makes it. That is Star Platinum in the front, but he's going to accidentally run into the Penguin.
It's the Penguin and gets bumped off the track. Yep. Well, it's going to be a bit of a risky situation to be in first there, just with no 4th place box. You're going to be pretty defenseless in the front against the top 3. So CSULB will make up a lot of spots here. You got a Ghost as well for this final section of the track. Green narrowly missing them at the end.
Oh, but Minnie's red is going to be able to get Max, though. And Minnie's going to be able to cut in front of Woofle right there at the end. I believe the top 3
That's a top 3 for Long Beach. A top 3, 5, 6, 9.
6, 8, 9. That is an incredibly strong race for them. Minnie there, she made some really good plays. She had the red. She slowed down a bit. When they saw that Woofle was coming, she went a little bit wide. Was able to get the red off after they went into the Ghost, so it would skip and hit Florida player Max, and it was able to get the triple shrooms in the cut. That was some really impressive play right there. And now Long Beach is up after a phenomenal race.
I think we've seen, what, like 5 or 6 lead changes in 8 races. This has just been back and forth. No one's held a lead of more than 20 points at a time. We've fourth every single race. And we're still seeing it's so close. The way it's close has changed. We're going from back and forth 4 points to back and forth like 30. But still, we're just neck and neck right now. Even after 2 really strong races, Long Beach is still only up by less than 20 going into race 9.
Yep, this has been really close, and honestly, it's been a really big story of just kind of the more lesser known players from each team stepping up. I mean, Woofle is making some really, really great plays for University of Florida. You know, we expect Max and Hobby to be great, place well, and then over on Long Beach's side, you have Raspada and some of his teammates like Zane Witter, getting up in the front. But as we saw, Minnie, Star Platinum, they were making some really good plays there on their own. And we love to see
off the track there.
Yep. We'd love to see these players step up in the championship round.
Right, yeah. But interesting how Florida's recovered pretty well off the start. Most of what makes Nespo such a strong runner is being in top 4 at the beginning and having so much top 4 presence for that first pace lock. But you see, once you whittle that away, a lot of the running advantage does start to go away, and Florida has recovered pretty well. They've got first, they've got third. Looks like they've got some mid spots as well. They do still have 2 people in the back. But overall, it's pretty even on Senspo.
It looks like Raspada comes out of Ghost into second place, and that's a 2-4 right now for Long Beach. 2-4-5.
Very smart cut there by Kuso. Does lose control a little bit and falls off the track for it, unfortunately enough.
Blue is out. It's not the end of the world. Does have the red to hit out Drizzy, it looks like, after Drizzy was burning their golden shrooms. So that's a bottom 2 for UF as they get blued out of first, and now Raspada is in first.
Interrupting that golden 2 for your people in the back, especially on lap 3 when you start to run out of time to catch up. Really, really good for Long Beach there. Kuso pulling a dodge now as well. Gonna break the mana. Ooh. Does lose control again a bit. Falls off the track.
It was just a bit too tight. Meanwhile, we go over to Woofle and we see them in the bottom as well. Really close driving. Gets the crazy 8 out to be able to hit out Kuso right there, but I believe Kuso was able to recover just a bit. Unfortunately, still gets last, but that's still a really good Long Beach race.
Long Beach getting 2 through 6 there, really solid. Yeah, see, they are able to bring back a lot of that advantage you have at the start. Does convert to a really solid race for them. We're probably going to see them pick Wee Rainbow Road once again. That's what I would expect.
I would say that as well. Yep, they have a 30-point lead with only 3 races to go. Now, this isn't the end of the world for Florida. but hockey, in your experience, because I know you are a MKU champion. In your experience, if you do bad here on race 10, and let's say it's not a big loss, but it's not a you don't win, you get maybe a -4. Do you kind of try to punt the last two races if you're Florida and pick tracks that Long Beach likes in the hopes that it gets selected and they can't use it for the future, or do you still try to win at all costs and maybe burn some of your really good tracks and maybe not have it pay off?
So this is a pretty interesting question because there was really only one race this really applied for my team in our MKU finals in match 1, and both teams were counterpicking each other's tracks on that last race, but that was when we had mathematically won game 1, and I don't think we're going to see a mathematical win here. I mean, it's not going to happen until at least race 12, but if it does, I would expect maybe Florida to try to pick Weibo here. I'd maybe try to see like Long Beach picking one of UF's tracks. We're seeing Sweet Sweet Canyon, pet favorite of mine. I very rarely see it, so I'm always happy to see this track come up.
It is a
really good low
nice
glider by
track.
Woofle there. Really good low glider. We're seeing a lot of people break out. Hobby's got a bit of an early... Oh, that's not Hobby yet. I lied. That's Max. Max breaking out to a bit of an early lead here. We see Woofle going blue path. These paths are about the same speed either way. It really a lot of times just comes down to who you want to be interacting with. Really good trail by Raspada there.
Yep. Great trail. Looked like it hit 2 UF people, and now Woofle's dropping just a bit. You see Mini in front of them, along with Zane, and I believe Star Platinum.
Like a couple of people from both teams were able to take that shroom cut at the end of the lap there. That cut saves so much time, so both teams having people who can take it is really good. Looking like Florida's starting to break away in one just a little bit. Long Beach has got some people behind them, followed by Florida with some mid spots. Pretty brutal bomb hit one of Long Beach up there, looking at the mini-map. Ooh, getting his double stolen by a ghost there. Not great.
Unfortunate. Especially that is Star Platinum. It's a Long Beach player. And a shot comes out just as Star Platinum's ghost runs out. And a blue shell thrown as well. And a UF player in first. This could be really big for Long Beach. And the banana hits out Woofle right before the cut.
They did have a ghost, so they weren't going to have much to take it with there, but it's always unfortunate to get a hit out, especially in this last lap of the race. Very good ghosted triple shrooms here, though.
This could be a really strong item pull, especially with Star in pocket. The pack getting a little bit tighter as we come towards the end of the race. It looks like a UF player gets hit out at first, and it's a top 2 for Long Beach. This could be really bad for UF.
Pretty unfortunate people to be in front of you if you're pulling trip reds there, but it looks like UF now has a lot of spots after 1, though.
Yep, and Raspada's right there with the shroom. He's going to get hit out. It looks like Woofle's going to unfortunately maybe hit out his teammate, but has to go wide because of his reds, unable to use his shroom, dropping down into 9th. And we see a 1-3-4-7 for Long Beach. That is a really good race for them.
That's a pretty solid race for Long Beach there, yeah.
They've been grabbing a lot of those mid spots. I believe this is the first time they get first in a while.
I was going to say, we saw a lot of spots where like Florida had a lot of really good races getting propped up by like a 1 and then some spots after it. Or on Long Beach victories, them getting dampened by like Florida just still managing to snag first in one of their top spot. Seeing a scoreboard update there. Looks like that's a bit more of a gain for Long Beach. I think that's a +8 for them.
Right now,
plus 8 for Long Beach.
Yep, so right now it's +38. Now, this is now where it gets really, really interesting for Florida, right? Any sort of loss here kind of loses you the game. But you're going to need a big race into another big race to try and claw the victory. So I'm curious, I guess, Grumble Volcano, it's an interesting pick. Unfortunately, it will not be selected. It will be Wario's Gold Mine. Instead, this is a California favorite, I'd say, among CKL teams. I do see a lot of the Californian teams like UCLA or UC San Diego pick it. Long Beach trying to manifest some of that energy here as they enter race 11. Any sort of gain right here, I believe, clinches them the victory for match 1. So if you're Florida, you gotta have a really big race. You need your big stars and Max and Hobby to place high, and you need everyone else to get up into the front and stay there, I'd say.
Yeah, no, making up 38 points in 2 races is definitely doable. We've seen it happen for Long Beach earlier this war.
Mm-hmm. It's
Right,
just now
Woofle
that
did
it's the
get the
that is
doubles
the final
taken
two
there.
races. It is hard. It is harder than ever.
Pressure's absolutely on for Florida, right? Woofles did get their doubles taken there. That is pretty unfortunate, and this double is going to be very contested up here. They are going to manage to snag singles just in case, just in time. Going to stream to get rid of the blooper. Are going to get not going to get redded for it, thankfully enough. See, Mini's trailing it right now, so they got to be pretty careful about that. They can time it right. They can't. Oh, and burning the shroom too in the process. Really unfortunate for Woofle right there. Playing triple greens here in front of some Long Beach players. Pretty good.
Got the triple greens. Mini has a plant in 7. It looks like another Long Beach player got hit out. I believe that's Mini and Zane are right there. And Kuso as well. A
Woofle's
lot
doing
of
really good on
Florida in the
coins right
top.
now, but Wolf's doing pretty solid in coins, been making up spots slowly but surely. See, they've already crawled their way back up to 6, but doing a really good job at staying in the mid spot, especially on Warriors Gold Mine. It's a very hard track to stay in the middle on, so the fact that they've just been slowly creeping their way back up. We saw they went fifth for a bit there. They're right behind DC. There's a lot of Florida in this top 6 right
There's
now.
a
I see
lot
at
of
least
Florida
4
in the tops,
people.
but that's at least Long Beach in 12th and I believe 11th, possibly 10 and 9. They might have full odds here.
Oh, Woofle taking the cut a little bit too tight and then runs into the
Another
bomb,
bomb.
loses the trip reds. That is
Dang it.
so bad.
That is the third bomb snipe on Woofle this match, I believe.
I was just about to talk about how good of a spot Woofle was, being at the back of the pack for your team running and having trip reds, you just a gatekeeper. And losing that could be really bad. Do you think Florida's going to be able to keep 1 here and probably 2, just with a glance at the minimap?
We'll see if Raspada has anything to pass up second place. Doesn't look like it. It looks like this might be a 1-2-4-5 or a 1-2-5-6 for Florida. Woofle's able to gain a spot, it looks like, but Florida will be grabbing last 1, 2, 5, 7, 10, 12.
That should be a slight gain for Florida. It's definitely still possible, especially if Florida's gaining it all here. That makes it possible mathematically. You know, momentum's back on Florida's side after a couple pretty good races for Long Beach.
Yep,
Yeah, Florida making up some ground there, bringing it to within 30.
it's back into 30. Now this is only game 1, so if they lose, they still have game 2 and game 3 to win. For those that are possibly new to collegiate Mario Kart or competitive Mario Kart in general, the first team to score 493 points in a match is the winner. For playoffs specifically, you have to play a best of 3 set to determine who is the champion for the division. So right now, I'd say Long Beach is very firmly in the driver's seat, even with a bit of a loss there, an 8-point loss. But we will be going to a UF track pick yet again for the final race, Mushroom Gorge.
All right, we're seeing Gorge here. This could be a bit of a gambit by Florida, which is pretty interesting. So there will be the repick rule between sets, so this is the only time we see Mushroom Gorge here. None of those tracks we saw in Game 1 will be happening in Game 2, and in a Game 3, nothing from the first 2 matches will be coming back. So it looks like Woofle's opting to run here. There's a lot of Florida in the front to start.
Shroom's right here. With triple greens in pocket, this could be really good for Woofle if they're able to take the cut. They're able to get the super bounce right before. Going for the gap cut, goes really tight to try and hop the fence, misses, but is still able to recover pretty high. That is a top 3 right now for UF, as we will cut to Kuso here in 7th place.
Florida's got a
Smart
lot of
Platinum.
people in the front right now. I think that's 4 of them in the top 6.
And I don't think the one Long Beach player right there in the back is really far enough to try and pull Shock. We do see them pull Bill, actually, as first place starts to pull away from the rest of the pack, and that is a Florida player in first place and second.
Oh, Kuso looked like they were going for the glider shroom there. Just missed it. Gonna fall to the top a little bit from that. They do have star and triple shrooms to recover right after.
Yep, they elect to go the safe path and not risk, further time loss going for the cut in case of a miss. I'd say that's a pretty smart play. Right now, you're just trying to get any spot you can. If you're Long Beach, any sort of victory or even just a small loss is a victory for you in this match. As we enter, we see Shock in play now. Kuso has
On
a
lap
Shock.
3, that might clinch it for Long Beach here. They just got to play it safe, Looks like they're going to target one of Florida off the cut there. That
Yep,
hits
and
somebody
Star
mid-cut.
Platinum's able to dodge with a bullet bill.
And that's probably going to be enough for Long Beach to pull off a win game 1 here, especially with making up these spots at the end.
That is definitely, yep, a top
With a
2
Long
or
Beach
a
top 2,
1-3. That is
looks like-
definitely a victory for Long Beach.
Long Beach takes game 1. We've seen so many of these by Long Beach where they just pick up every spot in like 2 through 5, 2 through 6. And
They're
it's just
pulling
working for them.
off. They're pulling off what is known in the collegiate Mario Kart scene as the Oklahoma Special. I mean, we see right there, Hobby and Max first, second place by over 20 and 30 points, but every spot after top 2 is just all Long Beach.
Single, 3rd through 8th, every single one's getting occupied by Long Beach. Looks like
That
it's going to
is
be a
crazy.
46-point victory for Long Beach here in game 1.
I believe so. Now, it's not the end of the world if you're Florida. You have a little bit of time until race 2 begins. You know, you could take a breather, try and clear your mind. It's not the end of the world. In fact, in terms of CKL, we've seen a lot of teams lose game 1 and then come back to win dominantly across the whole set. You know, off the top of my head, Alabama last season against Michigan State, they lost game 1. They were down quite a bit in game 2, but they were able to claw their way back, take home the victory. Western last season as well versus New Mexico. Lost game 1, won on the final race of game 3. You know, I would believe definitely in Florida being able to pull something similar, but as we saw, Long Beach just had phenomenal team play. You know, Minnie, she was doing really well with her item play. Kuso was able to pull the shock right there to clinch the game. Zane Witter, Star Platinum, they're able to get a lot of the higher spots. And, you know, while Respada's not able to get first most of the time, they're able to grab second or third almost always to get that victory.
I think we've seen that time and time again with CKL. Every time this season, there's been the question of, like, does having 1 or 2 players be super far gone in points, scoring like 120s, 130s, win against a team that can pick up all the mid spots? Every time the answer has been resounding. That just like
your overall average team play being higher is the answer every single time. And I think tonight so far, we've seen that reaffirmed once again in game 1.
Yep. I mean, pulling off an Oklahoma Special in finals of all places is kind of insane, but Long Beach was able to do it, and game 1 goes to them.
Yeah, very good performance by Long Beach there. We saw at the beginning of this match, you know, the lead was shifting almost every single race, every other race. This match was all over the place, where we saw first 4 races of like +2s, +4s. Then we just had this crazy streak of like +20s and +30s back to back. Then we finally saw it settle with a couple of really good Long Beach races at the end to clinch it for them. Never bleeding more than, I think, 8 points to Florida in race 11 in those last 4.
We will be going on break for just a few minutes, but do not go anywhere. We will be back with more Championship Collegiate Mario Kart shortly. And we are back with more Collegiate Karting League Division 4 Finals. Once again, I am Ted Bear from Florida International University, joined by Air Hockey. Game 1 went to California State Long Beach. Despite an incredible performance from the Gators, Max and Hobby, all of CSU Long Beach was just able to grab all the spots on the table after top 2, and they were able to pull out quite a nice victory for Game 1.
Yeah, we
Hockey,
saw after a
any-
nail biter. We saw a
Yep.
nail biter first like 7, 8, 9 races before Long Beach was finally able to kind of be a little bit more comfortable, sit back a little bit, and kind of build on their lead and end with a 46-point victory, which I don't think I could have predicted it going that way until probably like race 10. It was back and forth for the first 9
No,
races.
I thought it was honestly going to be within 20 points or so with how it was developing. I mean, it looked like neither team could really get an edge. It was just little nitty-gritty battles, but then we saw as the game went on, it looked like California State Long Beach was definitely the ones in control. We'll see if, UF was able to make any adjustments for game 2, and if California State Long Beach can maybe try and hold on to that momentum, or maybe try and be very aggressive here at the start and try to ice it and not send it to a game 3.
Yeah, if I'm Long Beach right now, I mean, the vibes are definitely up. Like you've just won game 1. You can relax a little bit. You only have to win one of these next 2 games to win it. And,
And because same thing with Florida, there's a lot of pressure in that call now. It's like that's the only ground you can afford to lose for the rest of this match. Like you have to win the next 2, and if you lose once, you're done.
And with such a journey both these teams have, neither of them want it to come and end on a loss. So I expect Florida to be coming out of the gate swinging. They're going to be playing, if I had to guess, they're going to be playing really aggressive with their items, especially Woofle and Horizon. Max and Sky, they'll probably be able to hold down the tops quite often, but if they do drop down, we did see them kind of drop a bit, and they would kind of stay in the back to pull shocks and stuff like that. But I think this time, they're just going to go all in on trying to get as many tops as they can.
Yeah, and if I'm Long Beach, I mean, I don't see much of a reason to change my play style from game 1. I mean, it was working great. Even with Florida having some really strong races, they still pulled off an almost 50-point victory. Like, I feel like at this point, stay the course, make sure you're getting some good tracks. That's probably the best thing you can do here. I think that's what's going to make this game 2 so interesting, is none of those tracks we saw in game 1 can come back again. I don't know. I mean, I've played in a best-of-3 series before, and typically you try to bring out some of your heavy hitters early on, but you want to use most of them in game 1 because you got to make some wins happen somehow.
Donut Plains 3, interesting pick. It looks like even though Florida are the hosts for game 2, that it's a lot of Long Beach kind of in the 3 through 8 spot, and we're going to get Moo Moo Meadows here for race 1 of game 2, race 13 overall.
Moo Moo Meadows, I feel like, it's just one of those tracks that I feel like everybody loves. I don't actually see it get played all that much, so it's always very fun to see it come up in a game. Yeah, Long Beach has 2 through 6 here, I think.
That is crazy.
Kuso missing an item set here at the beginning. That's pretty bad, especially with only having 2 sets on this track. Not a great way to start your race. Looks like they're going to be able to draft up, start picking some spots up pretty quickly. Getting doubles there, very nice.
It looked like only one player was able to take Shroom Cut, too.
I'm in 5th, getting a really low trick there. Really nice. Going to Shroom up here, make up 4th. Looks like a lot of Long Beach in top 4 right now. They've got 1, they've got 3, they got 4, but a lot of Florida right behind them.
Yep, we do see a Long Beach player and a Florida player battling out there for first. I believe that would be Max and Raspada, I would like to say.
Yeah,
we now
bit
have
of an
two,
unfortunate
we now have
place
two
to have a ring right
peaches.
now. Looks like they are both from Long Beach. Kuso getting a little trapped here with this Rang. There's just his teammates keeping around him, and there's just never safe space to use it.
It did look like his teammates trailed out some Florida players, though, so they were able to gain a few spots. Many now behind them with triple greens. We have a few Florida players in the back here. It looks like 9, 10, 12 is all Florida. Meanwhile, at the front, the top 2 are really pulling away with it. They're in a dogfight right now. But everything after seems to be all Long Beach.
We're seeing this rank Kuso's been holding on to for so long, gonna be the last item they have for the rest of the race, and it gets ghosted anyway. See, looking like Long Beach gonna get a lot of those spots after one they love being in. They've got 2 through 5 here. Looks like Zane's coming 7th.
2 through 5, 7, 9, 12. That is a really good starting race.
3 through 5.
for
Sorry,
Long
Max is
Beach.
on Peach now. Need to correct there.
Oh,
Florida getting a
yep.
top 2 and some spots after. Gonna be a pretty solid race. You know, Florida getting top 2 is gonna pretty much make sure nobody's gonna gain more than probably 10 points here.
Mm-hmm.
We're
A
seeing as
top
this
2,
scoreboard
the
update
3,
comes
the
in.
3, 4, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, cancels it out. The top 2 at least for UF, but you know, to be able to come out after how those last few races of game 1 turned out and be able to at least get a pretty good starting spots after game 1, a +6, you know, that's a really good confidence booster, I'd say.
Really
as
good
they
start for
looked,
Florida there, yeah.
Yep, and they looked to select Hyrule Circuit for their top 2, a really strong top 2 track.
Yeah, if you get top 2 in a race, pretty much anything that's not bottom 4 is going to guarantee you're gaining points. Pretty sure even if you're getting top 2, bottom 4, you're still only losing about 6 or 8 points. So just even picking up scraps, maybe having like an 8th and like a 6th will do a lot there. You see now Florida's coming out with this early lead with 6 points. And we're now going to Yoshi Circuit. I'd say probably one of our first hard baggers we've seen today.
Yeah, this is an interesting pick, especially for, I would say, Long Beach. It's not that you had bad races to start out. It's more of just like to go such a hard bagger immediately it's an interesting choice, I'd say.
I mean, every track that's a bagging track is a bagger for a reason. This one's a bagger for its bill extension, and I think if Long Beach has practiced pulling bills on this track and getting a bag, like getting the bill here, then I think it's absolutely the correct pick. Because I think especially a pretty underrated factor, I would say, in matches is like, yes, certain tracks are good for certain spots, but you want to pick the tracks you're comfortable on. And if this is a track you've put the time in to learn how to take extension and learn how to pull bill, absolutely pick it every time.
Yep. Right now, Long Beach has top 3, 5, 6. It looks like they do have one player in the back, but it looks like only UF might be in shock pulling range, which could be really devastating if Long Beach is not able to dodge. We do see a blue shell come out as Kuso gets into first place. There's the shock, and he's going to be able to dodge the blue at least. Was that a blue cancel from Long Beach then? We do see that there was at least one bill dodge. Don't know what team they belong to, though. We will see. That is DC from UF dodging.
Gonna get into one. Doesn't look like Zane has a red either. Pretty fortunate ghost, honestly. Oh, and a side green is gonna be devastating there. That red does look like it's gonna go for Hobby. Pretty good for Long Beach there. Making the best you can out of the situation. That's why Yoshi Circuit can be so dangerous to run, is because these power items just come back. People make their comebacks when they dodge, and you get reminded
Another
of
blue
what
shell.
everyone behind you is dodged with. So another blue gonna clip Kuso there. Pretty unfortunate, and not gonna be able to take the cut with the plants. This could still be fine if they can pull something really good at this next set. First place is getting pretty far away. It looks like somebody did lose out on a bill extension. There's a shy guy
Looks
in
like
first
Max
who
got the
dropped
bill
off bill pretty
extension.
early. Max is going to hit the bill extension, timing it just right, threading the needle perfectly to make up first there. We see Florida in top 2 yet again.
Top 2, 4, 5, it looks like.
Kusa's going to start here, going to star out one of the Florida players, do his best to make up as many spots as he can. Triple shrooms are going to help along with that, but not with triple reds. It is going to make that harder. Getting clipped right at the beginning of the off-road there.
That is
You see
so
quickly
unfortunate.
all of those points whittle away, and Kuso dropping to 11th after being in 4th there in the cut.
And that's going to be a top 2, 6, 7 for UF. I believe that's another very close UF victory. Long Beach responding with another 3, 4, 5 to cancel out the incredible spots of Max and Hobby yet again, but just those reds right there at the end, I believe that hit out not just Kuso, but I believe that hit out another Long Beach player as well. And you know, gaining those spots after how 3, 4, 5 cancels out 1, 2, and all of those spots after is just, you know, it's so crucial to get. And UF looked like they were able to claw just a bit more. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
Florida picking up some more points here, getting a couple pretty nice races, picking up about 6 to 8 points to start, and this does add up. We're seeing they've got a 14-point lead after just 2 races. Looks like they're going to go for Hyrule Circuit here, with Long Beach picking Royal Raceway.
And again, with another top 2, And with how great Max and Hobby have been so far, going Yoshi Circuit makes sense. But Long Beach going for another reset bagger, it looks like.
It
Interesting
definitely
pick.
isn't as hard of a bagger as I would say that probably Yoshi Circuit is. You know, there's not like any
Definitely
one,
not.
there's not any like one overwhelmingly strong like bagging based thing you can do here. There's just a lot of things that are pretty good. Like there's a lot of pretty solid off-road shortcuts towards the end. Shock can be really good here because you've got a glider after an item set to dodge people on. There's a lot of ways that if you've got people in the back and you've got items to play with, you can make something happen almost always. We're seeing, looks like that's going to be 2 Long Beach players opting to stay back at the start here, stopping at that first set right now. We see Woofle, really nice miss by Woofle here.
Really good.
Long Beach-
Accidentally misses the box, but not the end of the world. Star Platinum has a rank in 3rd place. Max and Hobby at the front as usual. Looks like Max is going to be hit out by the ring though.
Florida's also hopping in to have some back presence now. We're seeing 3 people staying pretty far back to try to pull Shock here. Very good play. Looks like even more people are seeming to stop at the back now. We have 5 people bagging right now, a couple from each team. We set front here right now. Woofle running. Star Platinum's going as well. That's our first attack item we've seen in a bit. Woofle's going to opt to hold this red, try to maybe hit Star Platinum on a cut.
Maybe right
again,
after.
hit it again.
Really
Just
nice.
missed the items for the second time.
Yeah, but that was a really good course correction in the air to avoid landing on the banana there by Woofle. And now they're in 2nd place. Still holding on to that red. They could potentially hit Star Platinum here. And the set, no, they're going to opt to keep holding on to it. Star Platinum just has a shroom after. We don't know what's in their pocket, but Woofle does have double reds. They have
With
all
2
the
reds,
leverage
I mean,
right now.
Yeah, with 2 reds you just saw, Hobby took blue. I'd throw this red pretty soon, try to get another item from second, just start running at this point, because there's only 1 lap left. And then
there's the
shock
shock
happening too.
Yeah, I think Woofle was kind of maybe waiting to see if where Star Platinum would use his shroom in order to hit him out on cut potentially, but kind of backfires there with the shock. We do see a lot of Florida players coming up though, but now Long Beach has one. Well, they still hold one, and another bomb drop right in front of
keeps
Woofle.
getting bombed.
The second
What did he- Who is doing this to him?
the second they look back in their back cam and their eyes are
Let
not in
the
the
man
front, they just
live.
get a bomb. Brutal, but I believe this is going to be a great race for Long Beach. They hit out the UF player in 2nd, and they steal top 2 now.
Woofle able to make up 6 in the end after a devastating bomb late. Got a lot of spots off that.
Yep, that's
So
a
you have
1,
getting a
2,
lot of
5,
good spots
7.
there.
Mm-hmm. I
Bit
do
of a
believe
flip
this
of what
will
we've seen
be.
so far. Yeah, Long Beach getting the top 2.
Yep, I do think this is going to be a slight Long Beach victory, or winning race for them. Yep, it's now 120 to 126, 6-point lead for the Gators. As we enter race 4, that was crazy. That was a very chaotic ending. I mean, the shock, holding onto the reds, the bomb.
Yeah, there was another bomb at the end towards the line that Woofle was able to just skip past in a star, but there was yet another bomb right before the finish line. I'm sure that absolutely affected things. I mean,
Yeah,
we
but
saw
now
there was a
with
lot of things. There was just so much going on that race that we just couldn't even talk about because we just didn't have time. There was Hobby dropping for blue right before the boost panel, almost hitting a Long Beach player with the blue explosion in the process. We saw that kind of chicken fight in 1st and 2nd with the shrooms and the reds, and we're going to Daisy Circuit now. I know this is a very favorite track of Max's. It's a favorite of mine too. He's kind of converted me to Daisy Circuit over the past few months.
It is a nice track. We have seen, especially in finals before, we have seen this track be pulled out in match 2, and I think every time we've seen it on primetime, it's resulted in a really big race, and UF is kind of trying to manifest that energy here, it seems.
Woofle doing a really good job here, getting some good snaking in at the start. Gonna pull a shroom for this first glider, really nice. Looks like Hobby's gonna opt to hit the panels. Opens a path up for Woofle, who shrooms through and is now in first. Now in first with double shrooms. Bit of a fight with Respada. Getting redded there, really unfortunate for Woofle here.
And that was really good coordination there from the Long Beach players to hold on to that red, let Respada get just in front of Woofle, and then immediately red them out. That was really good coordination on their end. We see a lot of that team play from last match when they got that 3-8 on the table, and it's coming into play here in game 2 as an accidental trail out team kill on UF side. I believe Motion killed Woofle.
This does give Woofle the opportunity to finally burn that plant, pull some more items. Not the worst thing in the world. Very nice no item shortcut by Wolf here. Gonna have to keep the triple shrooms through this double set. Hopefully pull a dodge here. Pulling a 4th mushroom, not the worst thing to get. Very fortunate to not get hit up by those triple greens. We see going to Kuso now. We're seeing a star here for them in 11. Very good to hold into a dodge, especially right around now. Pretty good time to burn it. You can pick up some doubles here, hopefully pull another dodge. If you can get through this first glider here at the start of lap 3, you're good for like half the race that's left at this point.
Yep, and that's a
And
really
Star's
strong
crazy.
item pull for 9th.
2 dodges in 9th, incredibly good. Using that first one now, going to try to pick up another one here.
I can see them dropping the bomb on cut right here.
I want to see it happen.
We'll see. They throw it up.
Just before cut. Looks like some stars in response to that Crazy 8 getting burned. Not going to be able to get another item out. Was a little bit too slow in burning it, but they're still going to be immediately right back up to 5th after that. Really good usage of those items by Kuso. Was a very strong pull. Used a great way, but did leave them defenseless and got him hit out for it.
Yep, that was for just a moment a top 5 for Long Beach too, by the way. And right now it looks like they're going to get a top 4 as well. So Kuso sacrificed there, not in vain. Long Beach having a big race there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12.
That is a very, very strong race for Long Beach right now. That's got the momentum right back in their favor. Florida did have a bit of a lead. Florida had a bit of a lead there that did help them cushion the blow a little bit. Long Beach still only up by 16 points after a really strong race.
Yep, but even then, you know, you were down. And now you're in the front, and you had a top 4 in any circumstance is a big race, and you know you're starting to get back that momentum from game 1, I'd say. And now they're going Paris Promenade. Interesting pick. I don't believe I've seen any of them on inwards, and we will be going to Paris.
I mean, if nobody's on inside on Paris, then it's just a runner at that point. And you know, with Long Beach having top 4. This is another one of the hard runners in the game that you should be picking here. I mean, I'd expect to see this in the same way I'd expect to see like Daisy Cruiser or Water Park or any other hard runner.
It'll be interesting to see, I guess, how they go about running it. I mean, we've seen, you know, Division 4 is no slouch. We saw a lot of players going for the Mushroom Gorge cut. We saw a lot of players going, you know, for the ramp strats on Boo Lake. So it's going to be interesting, especially as you get further along these games without repick, just how many tracks the rest of the team is comfortable with. We did see UF get a lot of track picks game 1, so theoretically Long Beach should have quite a bit of tracks they like to play.
Really unfortunate smart bounce on Zane right there. You're seeing now Florida starting to have this top 3 start to break away a little bit, and especially as this track goes on, it starts getting harder and harder to break up these really solid group runs, and that's why it's such a good pick if you can get the run going on it. We're seeing Florida still holding on to that top 3, starting to break away a little bit. The window will start closing for Long Beach to do anything. The best thing they can do is have every spot right after, which is exactly what they're doing. You got 3 through 7, it looks like, and 1 person in the back pulling for items. Kuso gonna opt to go around.
And Blue Shell is thrown as well. This is gonna hit the UF players.
Blue Stone getting a really good pull for it. Triple shrooms and triple greens. And the Burnham here does look like they trailed one of their players right as the triple greens came out. Really unfortunate thing to happen for them there.
Unfortunate, but it does look like Zane is able to break into the top 3 of Florida though, with that blue shell. Mini holding
if you want to make
a
a brown,
red.
one of the things you do is pull blue, and they got that. So very good thing to happen for them just there.
Zane there in 4, Mini having to hold the red, dropping behind Kuso. It looks like Florida is able to actually maintain that top 3, but Kuso, Mini, and Zane close behind as we enter near the end of Paris Promenade here.
One of Florida went around for items, and it looks like Zane was able to capitalize on that. Looks like they've got up to 2nd now, 2nd or 3rd. Kuso going to throw those greens forward. Max looks like it's going to be a little too far to hit Max. Pulling 3 more chip greens.
It's going to hit. It's going to hit Woofle. It's going to hit out Woofle.
The shocks will cancel.
And we see a shock come out and someone dodge in the ghost. We saw, I believe, that was also another star. This race looks like it's mostly Florida tops.
It's positive for Florida, but not by much.
Not by much.
8, 10, 11. I think that's
2, 4, 5 for Long Beach. Really good, especially with how much Florida was holding down that top 3.
I mean, that's how you got to break up the top 3 on this track. You got to pull blue. You got to get your people in your top spots dodging.
if you're Zane, you break into that top 3 somehow. Would love to know how he did it, but he did it. Good on him for
They were
it.
able to, and Woofle with those triple greens throwing them up, that Hail Mary throw hitting out Woofle or
And Florida
Kuso
picks
throwing
up-
them up.
Florida picks up a couple points off of that one. Still plus 14 in the lead for Long Beach. Yeah, having a -2 race isn't awful, but you do want to start trying to gain wherever you can. So a slight gain for Florida there is pretty solid. You just want to pick up points wherever you can, especially on a Long Beach track pick. Because as we're seeing now, we're on now race 18 of this set. We're starting to whittle away at a lot of tracks even available in the game. And so now we're seeing some picks that you maybe don't see as often. We're seeing Music Park. We're seeing Shy Guy Falls.
We see
A
a
lot of things that would
random
normally be people's. Yeah.
that
And
by
a random
accident.
too. Question mark
We lo-
circuit is a
we
fan
lo-
favorite, I'd say.
We love seeing random out, and I believe this might be the first or second time that Shy Guy Falls has played on a primetime match. You're entering the halfway point as Long Beach, and you have the lead. I'd imagine hockey. If you're in this spot, right, you have game 1 in the bag. You have a lead here. Are you kind of maybe trying to hold on to the lead and be safe, or are you going to try and just be aggressive and gain as many points as you can, but risk maybe losing a lot more if it doesn't pan out?
It really depends, because like the momentum swing, if you bring it to game 3 as Florida, is really good. All of a sudden, the energy is right back with your team. You can make it happen. You're already halfway there to the upset after losing game 1. So I think if you're Long Beach, you do kind of want to start securing points right now, because if you're Long Beach, you could only have to play 7 more races. So there's not much of a reason to withhold some of your better tracks. Like if you know tracks you're really good at, try to play them when you can and make points up from it. We're seeing right now, Shy Guy Falls, a lot happens. I think these tracks that people play a lot less, people are maybe less sure what they want to default to on it. And so we're seeing doesn't look like anybody's really trying to bag here. And bagging can work on this track.
Not
Depends
really.
on the part.
Kuso had some 2 really good shell snipes right there, accidentally getting hit out though by their teammate dropping down into 10th, as we do see 3 Long Beach players now staying far in the back trying to pull. But even with the 3 of them in the back, it looks like we have Mini in the front for Long Beach right now, behind a barrage of UF players. And Zane is up there as well.
Yeah, right now Mini's doing a very good job. She's holding on to those top spots. Zane as well holding his own. We saw him last race. Very good at breaking up those UF runs. He's done it once. I think he can absolutely do it again here. Kuso's going to go through the shortcut here. Bullet Bill almost knocking them off, managing to recover. Very nice work right there. Looking like they missed a trick, so bouncing a little bit, but they're right back on the track right after. We're going to see, looks like they just went through a set with that last triple green to try to pull another star. And we see Woofle now up here in the upper mid pack. And breaking to Mini trailing out a Florida player right now. Seeing a couple of
Mini
Florida
trailed out Max right there. That's really big.
Zane's up first now.
Yep. It looks like maybe another hit by Mini there on another Florida player. This looks like maybe a top
Long Beach top 4.
I think so right now. It's really close. Woofle going for the cut, gets it, has the green after, throws it up at a Hail Mary. He will get out Star Platinum, but he's gonna get hit by a green.
Does get
on
green
the ricochet.
Looking like the end Florida might have managed to crack into that Long Beach top 4 at the last second. Yahabi
Yep.
managing to steal first and getting Star Platinum right out of the top 4. So they did turn a top 4 into a 2-3-4. If you can only steal one spot there, first is definitely the best spot to steal. So very good work by Florida at the end. Turned that only into a +2 for Long Beach.
Yep, and now Long Beach is up by 14 points as we enter the second half of Game 2. This is incredibly close so far.
Yeah, we're seeing almost a reverse of the first match where we saw the first GP had a lot of races with bigger margins, and we've now seen 2 races in a row be ±2.
And interesting to know that both those races, right up until the end, it looked like it could have been a disaster for the other team, but they were just able to break through just a small amount to be able to save it. I mean, that Paris Promenade finish was crazy, and right there,
finish was crazy.
And the Shy Guy Falls right after their glider when there was top 4, that to be able to salvage 1-5 out of that.
The bomb. I think the bomb has been the main character of tonight. It has been insane just how many times people's races have been made or broke by a bomb. We're seeing Toad Harbor now. We're starting to really kind of break into some of the more unusual picks. We're seeing on 19 races in, you know, you're going to start going to some tracks that you maybe aren't going to be your first choice, but you use your first choice in game 1 maybe, or you want to save your first choice for game 3 when it really matters.
Toad Harbor is really interesting, and you see there immediately 3 Long Beach players starting out in the back, and I think that's a really good call. A shock pull on this map can be incredibly devastating, which is kind of how spaced out the item sets are from each other.
Yeah, you can absolutely, if you get shocked right after this setup here we're seeing Woofle go through right now, you can absolutely just be in an item desert for almost 20, 30 seconds, and there is just nothing you can do about it. So obviously we're not going to see a shock level 1. We haven't quite had 30 seconds pass in this race yet, but we're seeing right now a lot of Florida presence in top.
We'll
Already
see
a blue shell's out.
Looks
like one of the Florida players was able to horn it out. Now we're seeing Florida's got a top 2-4, going to do their best. They do hit out Star Platinum there, making that a top 3 for Florida. Looks like maybe even a top 4 now, looking at the mini map.
This looks like a top 5, potentially.
That's a top 4-6, it looks
top
like.
4-6, yep. However, with a lot of players there in the back, Long Beach is kind of controlling the bagging game, but I don't think they're far enough to be able to pull shock. At least not at the moment.
If I'm Woofle, I probably want to start burning this plant soon. You've got that horn behind it. If another blue comes out, which it can happen with how early the first blue was, it's almost a full lap later. Now it's going to be a good time as any to burn this plant.
You have a lot of space
so many sets.
you.
You're going to be defenseless if a red comes out. You probably got to get rid of this plant soon, and now is as good a time as any.
Interesting.
They're going to hold on to it a little bit. Might be trying to... Okay, they aren't going to choose to play spoiler if any Long Beach players come up. I do like that they're burning this here. They can get some coins out of it and lock Long Beach out of picking up some coins as well.
Yeah, interesting horn use. We do see a shock come out and a player dodges. I believe that is a California player dodging 2 bills in play at the moment. Kuso has a start in 9th place. Another blue shell is thrown. This could be really devastating for Florida because maybe they weren't able to get a lot of the item sets after the shock.
That blue does hit so close to the end. Looks like Florida does still secure first here.
It looks like they're securing top 3.
There's a lot of really good spots there. That's at least 4 people in their top 5 right now. Yeah, Florida getting a top
4-6.
6-11. Big response from Florida right there. Even with the 2 blues, even with the shock, they're just able to be that far ahead to where it didn't matter. And holding shock and kind of holding it till that late was really bad for Long Beach. Unfortunate luck of the draw.
Florida
and now we see
after being down 14, a plus 28 race for Florida just then.
And now they're in the lead going into the last 5 races. And this is kind of you said it earlier, but this is really now starting to be a reverse of game 1. We saw that it was really close, but Florida had the early lead, and then after some really close races, Long Beach had one really big race, and then another, and then another. And they pulled ahead within the last 5 or so races, and Florida kind of doing the same thing now.
See, Long Beach going to Cheeseland now. Very interesting. We have seen a lot of the more conventional bagging picks, I'd say, come up. You know, we saw Yoshi's Circuit. Does look like Woofle. We're seeing Woofle did apparently disconnect before the race started, so that is going to mess with Florida's top spots. But if you're getting so I'm not sure if Woofle's going to be present in this race at all. This might be a bot playing in Woofle's place, which is going to mess with things a little bit here.
Yeah, but with it being a bagging track, they could potentially, you know, pull kind of a haywire shock without anyone's coordination, which could be really devastating for the game plan of both teams.
Yeah, so Woofle has disconnected before the race. There will be a bot playing in this race, which does add a lot of randomness to Cheeseland. And especially, what the thing with Cheeseland, I feel like, is that it's like, I feel like a lot of tracks, like I was saying earlier, how a lot of tracks usually a bagger for one reason. Cheeseland's kind of a bagger for every reason. Like, it's got massive off-road shortcuts, and it's got a massive bill extension, and it's got, like, really big item set droughts. It just has everything. But at a certain point, it's almost an oversaturation of reasons to bag, and it's just sort of... It's a bit of a mess. This track is really divisive, I feel like. And this race might show us why.
We'll see. We do see Kuso stopping for the sets. Unable to burn their triple shrooms before. Oh, and they're going to get a shock pull. And that dodges, I believe that might have been a bot shock because we saw UF players dodging. We saw CSULB players dodging. I don't think that really favored one team over the other. So
Right now,
that might
Florida's
have
only got
been.
one person in the bottom 4, but with the shock pull just happening, it's going to be a bit before we see shock again.
Yep, at
Booster's
least
only going to have a
30
couple more
seconds.
chances to pull Bill right now, especially with that golden occupying their item slot for a bit. They're not going to have much more time. They're going
And
to skip set here.
they're gonna
Interesting
opt to
play by
hold on to the
Kuso.
gold and go for the glider. And right now it looks like a really giant break in first place for Florida. They have second as well. Zane Witter in third gets hit out though, and Kuso's able to activate the star right before the dodge. But there's a lot of
A
UF
lot
build
of people
dodges as
dodge.
well.
Max
Dodges
dodging
in the
Bill.
extension as well, and another bomb.
They just keep happening. It's the 7th time. We
That
keep
is-
seeing bombs. There's another Bill pull. Bill is still really good late on this track as well. There's a bit of an extension later on. The big one was
Oh,
early.
it looks like
Bill used
the
it here.
Florida player that was in first gets hit out right before the finish line, and I believe Mini steals first place for Long Beach.
Kuso going to pick up an 8th there after such a back and forth. And Mini picks up a 1 for Long Beach. Raspada and Watt coming 3rd and 5th.
I think that's a slight gain for Long Beach. I don't think it's a huge one.
That was an incredible play after that was definitely a UF shock there for the second one. I mean, you had Max and I believe it was motion dodging as well in the Bill extension. They still weren't even able to grab one off of that, and now it's only an 8-point game.
Yeah,
with
there was a really fortunate dodge from Kuso at the last second. Yeah, Florida's still up by 8. Long Beach managed to claw a couple points back there. You're seeing with only 4 races left, Florida is a little bit favored with an 8-point lead here. Looks like Long Beach is going to offer Sunshine Airport, pretty standard group runner. Seeing an Athens Dash pick by Florida.
Pretty typical anti-1, I'd say, as well. But we will be going to Airport instead.
We're on race 20 now of this set. We're seeing Hobby on 91 points after 8 races. Insane performance by them in the second race so far. Seeing Woofle is also now back in. Florida is now playing with 6 humans again.
Yeah, you have to wonder, especially since it was Cheeseland with the bot, and it looked like that first shock was a bot shock. I mean, if you end up losing this game, you kind of just have to, you don't want to dwell on it. If you're Florida, you have to put that previous result out of your mind because it definitely did not pay out in their favor.
Honestly, if I'm in the Florida call and I only go down 6 on Cheeseland while having a bot, I'm pretty happy with that result, Obviously, a game would be nice, but that's still pretty good. Seeing a lot of Florida in the back early on in Sunshine. That's not the worst thing in the world. You can make a comeback on this track. Shock can be really strong. You've got some item set droughts. There's still a lot of ways to make spots back up. And we see Florida's in 1, and they have all of the bottom 4 completely shutting Long Beach out of those shock pulling positions. Will be interesting to see if Long Beach allows that to continue, though. Kuso's going to go wider here, fall to 7th, get some good item sets here. We're seeing Kuso now with quad shrooms in 7th behind Zane with some reds. Is going to avoid the reds.
We see Hobby take the cut. Hobby redding out Kuso as Kuso gets their item stolen. But right now it looks like a really solid top 3 for Long Beach, but a blue shell is out.
That might hit midway through the glider. Looks like they're going to just be able to land, but it is going to be right after the glider. If that blue was a second earlier, that could have been devastating. And that blue will hit. There was no Horner Mushroom to dodge it.
There's another bomb. Kuso
learning from the past, not getting bombed. Does get starred, though.
Gets starred out by motion as DC now enters a star for Florida. We see a lot of Florida players pushing up. You have to imagine maybe one of them might have shock in pocket.
Yeah, we've seen blue get pulled. I don't know if that blue was getting held, but if it was, you're getting better shock odds during that time.
Woofle has a red now in 5th. Looks like they're waiting for Zane to hit the glider. Gets the red perfectly. Zane is out. Long Beach still has top 2, but it looks like Florida has everything after.
I think Watt's got triple greens as well. Going to try to bring up some spots if he can.
Try to hit out Hobby potentially, or back Woofle.
Watt's going to do what they can. Not sure if it's going to be enough, though.
No, this is main. Long Beach does get 1. I believe Platinum gets first. 1-3-5. That's a really good result for Long Beach, I'd say.
That should be a slight gain for Long Beach here. Not a huge one. Definitely 10 points or less. Florida did what they can, but coming off of having a bottom 4 after lap 1, yeah, only gaining a couple points here. Florida's still up by 4 points. Looks like CSULB, I think, gained 4 points off that. which considering Florida had bottom 4 after the end of lap 1, very good recovery by Florida.
Ooh. And now you have now there's only 3 races left, and I'd say if you're Florida, you can't be holding any tricks back, anticipating winning and going to game 3. This is incredibly close. You saw at the end of game 1 there, Long Beach was able to pull out a lot of really strong races, and they had a really strong result right there. As we're going to Water Park, another Long Beach track. You got if you're Florida, in my eyes, you got to go all in now. You can't play conservative like how they were going bottom 4 trying to pull shock and then not really pulling it. You gotta go all in now.
Water Park can be very dangerous though if you get first on this track. If you have first after this first set, it can just be impossible to ever lose first. And I thought this is one of my favorite runners for a reason. It's because once you get one, you can just hold one for the rest of the race. Especially if Hobby's pulled defense here, which I think he has, that might just be it. And I don't know if he'll lose first. Actually, Woofle doing what he can to bring up to second. There's a shroom here, gonna try to contest the spots, getting doubles here.
There's
Hobby's
the
gonna be able
red.
to block that red.
He doesn't have his teammates in 3 or 4 to kind of protect him though, so we'll see if another red gets thrown. It could be pretty bad.
Woofle's got greens right now, getting a UMT there. He's gonna do some work to bring him further up. Got Max. It looks like Max is in the mid spots here.
Loses
Still
one
to a green. His first one got ghosted.
Yep. We do see Hobby still in first. An unfortunate ricochet there hitting out Woofle. But we do see some Florida players clawing back up into 3rd and 5th.
Woofle back that bomb there. Looks like a lot of people are in stars, so it's not going to do as much as he probably would have hoped. See, Kuso's got some shrooms in 5th. Minnie, she's up here in 3rd. Motion's in 4th. They're both going to opt to take
triple greens out on the cut. Kuso barely being able to avoid them. Unable to grab the item set though, but at least you're not far back. As we enter the last lap.
DC with the plant in 4th as Kuso's trying to get up there in 5th. Going to be hard though, because if you do anything, DC can get you with that plant. And a star is exactly what you need. A star in 5th does miss hitting DC, but now you are in danger of this plant.
And there's Watt cutting up with triple greens. Oh, the red shell at the worst time, just as the star runs out.
Yeah, we're seeing how Hobby's got this huge break in 1. I don't think Watt can break it at this point, especially only just now getting those items.
Nope.
It's probably a pretty safe 1 for Hobby, pretty safe 2 for Watt.
I believe that's, yep, and that's going to be maybe a 1-3-4 for UF. It looks like they got blued right before the line, though. Maybe not.
At the last second, too. Kuso bleeding a couple spots.
Yeah, that blue was massive.
UF still gets 1, 4, 6 through 8. That's still a pretty good race for Florida. They should gain a little bit here.
They're definitely gaining, but man, losing 3rd there, especially with how close this match is right now, that is devastating. Still able to gain just a bit though. A +4 in their end as we enter the last 2 races.
Yeah, now you got a little bit more room to breathe if you're Florida. You're going from +4 with 3 to go to +8 with 2 to go. Also, need to give a shout out to Spicy for seeing a Water Park appearance. I was also very happy. Water Park, a pet favorite of mine. Looks like it's the same for Spicy.
Yep, and we see Mute City coming out for Long Beach. Donut Plains 3 for Florida.
I think we saw this pick early on in this set. Didn't get picked, and now we might see it.
I believe race 13 at the start of game 2 for Florida, they selected it, didn't get picked. We went to Moo Moo Meadows instead, but that track coming back into clutch now. Maybe they're really glad it didn't get picked.
We see Hobby has absolutely been showing up this set as well with 118 points after just 10 races on an incredible pace in finals right now. She looks like Kuso's going to opt to drive back at the start. Watt doing the same thing. Looks like they're the only people bagging though. And with how short this track is, if nobody else on the other team bags, you do have to recognize that there is a bit of a risk. You could fall too far behind, especially with only 2 sets per lap.
And it's interesting that nobody from Florida decided to go back, considering it was their track selection.
I mean, you could absolutely run this track as Max and Hobby are doing right now with how short it is, you're not going to be able to pull blue that much. You might see blue once, but seeing 2 blues in a race on this track would be crazy, which is how items work in this game. It'd be very hard. Woofle doing a very good job playing defense to Hobby right now. Woofle's going to go for the no-item shortcut, just misses. Oh, they still got it pretty solid there.
Yep, really that UMT was very helpful. He was able to recover, and now Hobby breaking away in 1. We do see, I believe that's Raspada in 3rd. but it's 1-2-4 for UF right now. No, 1-2-4,
1-2-4 through
5-6.
6.
This is really strong, but if Shock
is
is
what
pulled
Florida
right
needs
here,
right
this could be
now.
really bad. Blue
Especially now
shell
as we're
is
going through what
thrown.
could be a lot of these people's last sets for the rest of the race. If you take that pretty simple no item shortcut here coming up, you do miss that last set. So it is going to be interesting to see what Woofle does here. Gonna opt to skip it, hold on to that red. They've been doing such a good job holding the entire race. I mean, I think they understand their job perfectly right now, which is play defense to Hobby, do what he can, which is pull reds, pull shrooms, and just make sure nobody passes. And it's working very well right now.
Yep,
UF
Raspada
gonna
was
get
not
a
able
top
to.
two here.
Raspada was not able to pass them. That's going to be a top 2 for UF. A top 2-4, it looks like. Star Platinum will cut ahead, break into the 5th place spot, but this is a very good race for UF as Long Beach gets bottom 2 as well.
Top 2, 4, 5, 8, 10 is very good for Florida here. Finally giving yourself just a little bit of breathing room. Might have more than a 14-point lead for the first time this set. Going to be very good for them here going into this final race. We could see a game 3.
Yep, now it's a 38. Just like game 1. Long Beach had a 30-point lead going into the last race, and now Florida has a 30-point lead. It's a lot of parallels here as they select Daisy Cruiser, a very strong runner overall. Especially
my Greg Bucks are in shambles after this. I fear I may be 0-2 in predictions. I was wrong game 1. I'm about to be wrong game 2, unless Long Beach makes a miracle happen right now.
Well, we won't make any calls on what it will look like right now. Although I guess from the Greg Bucks perspective, it would be really nice for UF to win. I did put quite a bit on them. However, we will not be going to their pick, Daisy Cruiser. We will be going to Excite Bike Arena for race 24.
We've talked about this is really interesting pick by Florida here because Excite Bike, in a very similar way to Yoshi's Island, functions very well as a runner and bagger. One of the very few tracks in this game to do so because coins are so hard to get, but also those 2 shortcuts every lap are so strong. We're seeing looks like there are people in the front are opting to run, which I'd say is pretty standard. Gonna avoid that green. That could have been devastating if it hit early on.
Very
Woofle
smart.
misjudges their line just a little bit. Very nice
Yep.
adjustment, though, by them.
Oh, burns the coin, not able to get another item. Narrowly avoiding the teammate trail, though. Very nice play. Very nice vehicle control from Woofle overall.
Pulling a coin there, I'm pretty happy with the coin pull. Coins are pretty hard to come by on this track, especially if you're not in the front. You're not going to get them very much. So having that coin item to burn, be up at 6 right now, pretty good. I'm pretty happy if I'm Woofle. I've got 7 now. Just kind of driving forward, especially with how far top 2 are a little bit. Item pulls are going to get a little bit weird. You can probably pull some stuff you maybe shouldn't, like 5th, as your top 2 are starting to get away a little bit.
They have the Long Beach opponent dropping their protection right in front of them. A misplay there by Star Platinum. And Woofle's able to hit them out, drop them a few spots. And right now, it looks like even though there's a top 2 for Long Beach, a blue shell is thrown, and UF has everything behind. But it's really close. You don't want to hit out your teammates here. And it looks like there might have been one TK there for UF, but they still hold on to everything after top 2.
Right now, it's looking like top 2, bottom 4 for Long Beach. If they want to close it out right now, they're going to have a shock pull. They're going to need to have a miracle happen. It absolutely still can. Zane's been making up some shots right now.
Yep, Zane's going to be able to throw red right on the Max. Mini coming up.
That's how it starts.
I think Max got hit out as well. It might just be Hobby up all alone up there. Yep. Woofle getting the fire, though, on Mini. That's huge, and they have a green shell. Are they going to play offensively or defensively? Let's see. Max gets hit out, though.
I don't know if they're going to be able to hit Zane, especially with that red on the way. Drizzy comes back up, and that
red
red
but the blue shell
for
goes for Zane. That's going to be a 2-3 for Florida. I think they're going to clutch the game.
That secures it. Getting second there alone is enough.
Wow. Insane. A 2-3-4-6. And Florida will be able to clutch game 2. Incredible.
We are going to game 3. And we're seeing the margins on these games, too, have been so close. See, Hobby putting up 136 points after 130 game 1.
Hobby is having an incredible performance right now. I believe he's topped the table both times, games 1 and 2. And game 2 will be a Florida victory. I believe, doing some very quick mental math, that is a 38. Yep, 38-point victory. Very similar to the margin of victory by Long Beach game 1. I believe they won by what, 42?
40 something. Yeah, we've seen two very close games.
I think this might be our closest finals we've seen so far.
This has been neck and neck. Both of these teams have been phenomenal. We will be back shortly with more collegiate Mario Kart Division 4 Finals Game 3. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between. We are back with Division 4 Collegiate Karting League Finals, entering Game 3 between California State Long Beach and the University of Florida Gators. I am Ted Bear, joined by Air Hockey again, and we saw Game 1 and Game 2 be such tight bloodbaths against each other when both teams were just barely able to pull out the victory within the last few races. Hockey, how do you feel going into Game 3?
I mean, this has been such a crazy set to watch and a crazier one to commentate. Every time I've felt pretty confident it was going to go one way, it's gone the other, just without fail. And especially now on Game 3, I think Game 3s are usually the least predictable in best of 3 sets because you've gone through a quarter of the tracks in the game and more than likely a lot of your team's staple track picks. It's like you're going to be having to really reaching now and just kind of feeling out tracks based on vibes, like where you feel most comfortable going. There's a lot less concrete things where oh, one of our players is super strong at this one, or oh, one of our players knows how to get a shock every time here. You're kind of running out of that at this point, 24 races in.
Yeah, I would agree, but I'd say maybe more than the lack of tracks or, kind of maybe scratching your heads on what to pick. I think the motivation to get that banner for your school above all is going to dominate. And I could see both teams kind of taking really big risks with their track picks here because the allure of the banner for collegiate karting league is just so strong. I mean, winning MKU is special. Winning Pacific League is special. But winning collegiate karting league, representing your school on the national stage, it's incredible. And in the next 12 races, one of these two teams is going to join the University of Michigan and the University of Maryland in the championship circle for this season.
Absolutely right. We're going to see that soon. In just under an hour from now, we will have our Division 4 winner. It has been a fight for both of these teams to get here. Neither of them were in the top seed. Neither of them won their conference. They had to earn this spot by being in the wild card spot.
What both teams overcame to get here, and it's now been a bloodbath so far. We've seen these two matches so far. The margins have been pretty safe for both teams. They've taken the wins by about 30-ish, but even then, Long Beach took game 1 by 46, Florida took game 2 by 38. The differentials, every single place you check for this set has just been neck and neck.
Yep, and when you look at their opponents that they faced as the wild card teams in semis, University of Arizona going 9-1 in the regular season, dominating with the best players individually. But the Florida Gators, they said, we know, don't care. They won kind of dominantly by over 50 points both games, I believe, to get their spot into finals. Same thing with California Long Beach going against UC San Diego Team 2, where even though UCSD kind of had the jump on them during the regular season and the playoffs, Long Beach beat them convincingly with a 40 and 50 point win, games 1 and 2. Both these teams are battle tested. Both these teams are hungry for the banner. Long Beach wants their first season to win the championship podium, and the Gators, I'm sure they're remembering what happened last season. Going 3-7, being plagued by gathering issues. With all that going on, do you have enough stamina? Do you have enough energy to keep going for the next 12 races and join the ultimate glory? We're really going to see who has the heart for it.
Yeah, we see the Florida is back. The momentum is back on Florida's side. They've picked up a win in game 2 after a pretty solid win by Long Beach in game 1, and they've had a pretty good response. Winning by 38 after being down 46 game 1. The momentum is on Florida's side here. They've got to win. They've proved they can do it. They just got to go out and do it again.
And I'd say, Long Beach as well. That game 1, sure, that was more than 12 races ago, but you can't let that disappear. That confidence you had, that ability to play that you had. I'd say maybe even the team play that Long Beach exhibited during game 1 might have only been topped by what Maryland did in game 2 of their finals championship set. Because you just saw them making all the right plays, supporting each other. And while Max and Hobby got 1 and 2 consistently, they just got everything afterwards.
And you see now, maybe, Florida's kind of started to learn from it too, picking up some of the same strategy. We saw a lot more group runs from Florida that really propelled this win by them. Where, like, even if maybe more races resulted in a plus for Long Beach, the pluses Florida was getting were just so much more powerful for them. And overall, that turns into almost a 40-point win for them here.
You brought it up earlier when you were discussing how teams got to get more creative with their track picks. Maybe picking something unconventional or something they haven't practiced. But, going into that final game, it's interesting. How much do you think they saved certain tracks in case of this scenario versus how much the teams just tried to burn to get, to just try and win in 2 games outright?
I think more than likely Long Beach probably has a couple more tracks up their sleeve because just in general, you can slow roll it a little bit more in game 2 if you've got that first win, because you can afford to say like, hey, like it's okay, let them burn all their best tracks right now. So then, maybe they pull a win off in game 2, but when it comes to game 3, they don't have anything left. So if you're Florida, like, you got to put up your best tracks right now because this is the end of the season. There is no more next time. Like, after tonight, you're done. So you got to pull out everything you have in game 2 just to take it to game 3. So maybe then in game 3, like, you got here, but now what? And I think Florida still probably does have a response because Long Beach got a lot of track picks that set. So I think Florida's probably still got a couple tracks left up their sleeve. But, like, tracks that I know were kind of pet favorites for Florida. Like, I know Toad Harbor was one of them. I've heard Max talk to me about that a few times before. They pulled that out there. You saw it was a very good race for them when they did. But I think both teams are going to be hard-pressed to pick some tracks right now.
I think speaking about Florida, their captain Max in particular, I've played with them in Summer Switch Up. I've watched them in MKU. I know personally that they have a never say die attitude and that they personally are not going to give up. And I think really the big difference right now, if Florida wants to clutch up this win, is they got to follow the captain, they got to follow the leader. Sure, Hobby is their strongest player individually, but I know Max has really good mindset, really good mental game, and really good resilience. And you got to be like your captain if you want to win right now. And I'm sure Long Beach is thinking the same thing.
We're seeing now Sky High Sunday for race 1 on our 25th race of the set. We're seeing a lot less common tracks as you kind of burn through a quarter of the tracks in the game. This is what you start to see happen. And it's like, how do people feel about these other tracks? It can be a bit of a general knowledge check on the entire game for you of just how do you do when you're maybe somewhere you don't time trial a lot. I think right now, as we're seeing here, Raspada pulling out to a bit of an early lead. Looks like there might be someone in front of them on the left path. I'm not totally sure, just at a glance right now. Seeing Hobby doing good work, being in 3rd. Kuso in 4th, but is itemless. Going to pick up a single box here.
We see Star Platinum trailing as well. Getting really close to Kuso, but they're able to space out enough to not hit each other out. Very smart on their end.
Kuso does have opportunity to go for a green stripe. Does miss. Bit of lag. Made it look like it happened. Didn't hit Hobby, though. We're seeing Raspada is in 1 right now. Kuso behind them in 3rd. Very good horn pull here. They've got another one of their teammates up in 4th here with them.
Yeah, 134 for Sky High Sunday is not bad in any sense.
See, it looked like Long Beach had a lot of top spots when they made that track pick, and I think to pick that here, nice job horning out the blue.
Great job with that horn.
Very good horn, and that is going to protect their run a lot. You see, Florida's got all four of the bottom 4 right now. If they pull a shock, they can make a lot happen. But right now, it's on a great spot to pull shock, just with this glider coming up, and then so many opportunities to get a mushroom boost.
We see Zane Witter for Long Beach dropping into the bottom spots as well, making sure that Florida does not have full odds. We do see a Florida player come up in a bill with a star in hand. That would be Drizzy.
Having a star in 4 is really good, especially coming into a double set here. You've got a few more items here towards the end. Red misses Kuso at the last second. They do miss doubles. Might make it a bit harder to hit Hobby out.
And they pull the plant.
It
looks like Raspada has a clear break in 1.
Looks like something just hit out Star Platinum. Doesn't look like they get anybody with the plant, but they still gain some spots for it. It was Ren or something just hit Kuso, who hit someone behind Kuso at the last second. Looks like Blue's not going to have an impact
lock
here
on
at
a
the
Hobby
end.
and not Kuso. That's going to be a 1-3-4 for Long Beach to start game 3.
Florida did
never
claw their
mind.
way out of the bottom 4 a little bit.
1, 3, 5, 6.
7 through 9 and 12 to start this match off.
Yep,
Should
I
be
believe
another
that is
pretty
a
even race.
I believe that will be in Long Beach's favor overall, though. Yep.
Yeah, only +8 for Long Beach though.
That is the best start across all 3 games.
A massive +8 in this set. So much bigger than these +2s and 4s we've seen. At some point, it does feel like I'm just stating every possible thing that can happen, but I feel like almost every single match we're seeing either like these +2s, +4s, +6s, +8s, or like +20, +30, +28, with almost no in between. We've seen very little like +12s. We're seeing Koopa Cape and Big Blue here. I feel like both of these tracks have some pretty inherent risks in them. With Koopa Cape, you've got that risk if there's only one item set. If you're running it correctly, you're going to miss most of the sets because they're slower. You see Big Blue, you've got that insane cannon set. We are going to be going to Koopa Cape.
Koopa Cape is a pretty typical track pick. I'm honestly kind of surprised it took till game 3 to see it.
Oh, yeah, pretty even spots. I think both teams have players in shroom spots, so it's a pretty neutral. No team has a clear advantage here. I think it's really just going to be who feels more comfortable on this track and who can drive it better. Seeing Hobby pulling a Nana at this first item set. Kuso going to skip the ramp to try to go for coins that Hobby will snipe from them. See a lot of Florida on the top early on. Missing trick there is not great for Kuso. They're going to keep driving, try to recover off that. We're seeing, taking a glance at the mini-maps, looking like we're seeing Raspada in 1 here with, I believe, Zane. It's yellow Yoshi behind them right now. It looks like Zane's a little bit further back.
Yeah,
Seeing a couple people by Long Beach in the top spots.
Star Platinum in second for Long Beach.
A lot of chaos in the tunnel right there. There was a Nana, horns thrown, shells all over the place. A lot of people falling out for it.
Yeah, Raspada still holds first, though.
Yeah, starting to have this breakaway here where yet again, it's just there's not a lot of ways you can really get at first. And you've got a boost panel on the track, you've got the water pushing you forward. Just even if you get hit, there's such easy ways to recover. You see Woofle's in 4th now. Gonna be able to take this stream cut up here. Very good job by Woofle here taking that cut. Picking up an item as well. They're gonna get triple shrooms in 4th. Really, really solid pull, especially going into the beginning of lap 3. You got 3 shrooms for 3 cuts at the beginning of the lap. Zane's probably going to need to get a really good hit with this Rang here. Woofle doing a good job going out of the way. That Rang is going to come back. They're going to miss it. Woofle's now in 2nd with triple shrooms, about to take 3 huge shortcuts. Unless
there's
Zane
the Rang by Zane.
He does. That Rang's
very
on
nice
last
throw by Zane,
now.
holding on to it. But
Woofle
now Woofle has a Rang of his own.
Gonna opt to take the first cut here. And get Ranged immediately after, but now they're going to be able to have a chance to get back at Zane.
And a red trail immediately by Zane for the defense. Very smart on their end. This is a top 3 for Long Beach right now.
Really good fire pull here right now. And with one more throw, that Rang.
Blue shell is out.
Straightaway coming up. Not sure if it's going to hit in time to do something too bad. It is going to hit Raspada after the boost panels, which isn't great.
Woofle elects to not go for the item set. Interesting choice. That is going to be a Long Beach top 3, though, to start building on that 8-point win from race 1. But it does look like it's mostly UF afterwards.
Yeah, Florida getting 4 through 7
7
and 9. Pretty good response by Florida, keeping it pretty close here. I don't think this will probably be like a plus 10 to 15 gain for Long Beach. You're not going to get anything huge out of this. But, momentum's great. If you can pick up 2 wins in a row, that's very, very good.
And especially with how a lot of these races have been. It might take a very long time for UF to kind of claw back at this plus 20. It might take until, let's say if they win, race 4, 5, 6, it might take until race 7 until it's about an even game points-wise again. Because, we've seen a lot of plus 4s, a lot of plus 2s, even some plus 8s. But, double-digit wins are unless they're later in the set, they've been hard to come by in the beginning of these matches.
We are on an ad right now, so for those of us who can still hear us, great to have you here. We're going to be going to Waluigi Stadium now. Look, Raspada's had a very good start this set. Raspada's had back-to-back firsts on 30 points after race 2. Very good start by Raspada here.
This is another typical track pick, I'd say, that you would see in a more typical non-college war. And we know Raspada and Zane Witter are very experienced on the Long Beach end, and Max and Hobby are really experienced on the UF end. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe the rest of the team isn't as keen for the rest for these tracks playing them, but the really strong star players for both teams are kind of just trying to take over and maybe call the tracks individually.
That might be what you have to do right now. And if you're a Spada, I mean, it's working. You're up 20 after 2. I mean, personally, you got to be feeling pretty good on 30 after 2 as well. I think back-to-back first got to be a really great way to get the momentum
Double
started
first,
in
and
3.
it looks like Woofle's going to get redded out. This is a 2-3-4 for Long Beach, a UF player in first.
And a couple of Florida people right behind them as well. They're in a bit of a sandwich right now. That bill is going to set Woofle back a lot, though, falling down to 10th because of that.
And they have
like
they don't have the
Florida
shoe in
back.
pocket, so they can't even burn this one.
So Woofle's going to be able to take this cut here and make up some ground. You do have a lot of Florida in the back, though. Long Beach does have 12th, but Florida's got 9th through 11th. They're going to be able to get some pretty good pulls here. Woofle doesn't look like they're able to change that red, but they are going to be able to get rid of the blooper. Pretty good to see.
But they do have the plant in pocket. Not really much you can do unless you want to really avoid your teammates here. He's going to accidentally throw the red on his teammate and use the plant afterwards. Trying to catch up to Mini.
Good pivot to get rid of that plant when you know you're not at risk of hitting your teammate. Unfortunate team kill does happen. Just really pretty rough items to have right there with the teammate right in front of you.
Oh, but these shrooms could be really strong. I think Mini also has a pair of shrooms.
See, we've made a lot of ground right up here. That ring, I do think
and shock!
Those ground troops got sniped right away too. It could have been a really good shock recovery for Woofle. Does slip a little bit from that. Gonna get their third shroom boost there off the half pipe. Woofle's now gonna drive this ending bit really solid. Good work by Woofle here.
Got the shrooms for it as well. It looks like a few Long Beach players got hit out potentially. Mini getting redded out before the line, but Woofle gets fired out. Loses a
Didn't
spot
end up
to his
hurting the race in
teammate,
the end.
though.
Just traded spots with his teammates. Very, very strong race by Florida right now with a 1-3-4-5-7-12. That's got a lot of the momentum back in their favor. Should even things out pretty closely from that. I think we might still see a slight Long Beach lead after this. Yeah, Long Beach only up by 6 now after that.
That's a really solid response from UF. I was not really expecting that. I kind of said before the race I'd expect maybe more of a grindy +4, +2, but that was a really good response, knocking down a 14-point win.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of we're now as soon as I said it, commentators curse. As soon as I say it, we start to see a lot of these more kind of medium-sized races of like some +10s, some +20s, some +14s. Yeah, but it's still canceling out to be pretty neutral overall from it.
And now they're going the really popular tracks, I'd say, that you'd see in typical wars. Mario Circuit 3 is a pretty typical bagger. Neo Bowser City is a very popular runner, and that's where we're going to be going for race 4 of match 3. Race 28 overall.
I think you kind of have two choices when you start to run out of your standard tracks. You can kind of fall on fundamentals and pick a track where you don't have to worry about lines too much, like we see with something like Mario Circuit 3, or you can just try to surprise the other team. And I think both teams here, looks like they chose to just kind of fall back on fundamentals and pick something where they can think more about item play and fall back on their team play. Do what works for them.
Yeah, and honestly, game 3 with not many, chances to play afterward, I think that's a really smart thing. As we see here, the pack develops a bit. A 1-3-4 for UF, it looks like.
See Woofle doing a very good job navigating this curvy bit. Does get redded in really unfortunate spot too. Gonna turn Smart Steering on and do a shroom recovery. Pretty good work by Woofle there. Gets him back up to 8th right after.
And gets the double.
They are now gonna get blocked out of the shortcut and taking the UMT. They are gonna be able to take that through to Smart Steering though, but they can't get the UMT with Smart Steering on. They get it back off. Really good recovery.
Oh, what a nice bomb right there. It kills a mix of players.
And now Woofle's back into 4, holding fire in front of a Long Beach player. One
Backs
shot
it
of
on them. Nope, that was a lag hit.
They are going to try to hit Star Platinum. Doing a very good job, being very measured with this fire.
Very
all that fire just barely missing off Star Platinum. But they do have a green here and a really good spot to throw a green up. Are they going to go for it?
No, they like to hold on to it.
A lot of Florida in the top 6 right now. I think we're seeing Florida in like 2, 3, 5, 6.
And Woofle's got triple shrooms in pocket. This could be really strong on this track, especially if it's a teammate behind you. But we
Once
see
they get
Shock
shocked out of it,
instead.
they do have a ground stream to recover right after, though. We're seeing Zane's got a pretty big gap in first, but that does look like it got Zane after set, so they are going to be defenseless now.
And there's Hobby coming up as well with Drizzy and Woofle. So this is everything after 1 right now for UF. Zane clinging to that first place, though.
Yeah, if you're Zane, you have to hold 1 right now, because you can probably still hold on to it. I think there's not enough time for Hobby to make stuff up, especially with it looking like Hobby's holding a coin. If Zane can hold
Oh,
on,
they get the
there's a lot
shroom,
of
though.
work.
They get the shroom. I think they just barely stole 1.
Zane does keep second there, but that is a 6-point swing off those placements changing. You know, that was very critical for Florida right now, turning what would have been a pretty good race into a great race for them.
A 1, 3, 4, 5 is massive for Florida.
And Hobby and Raspada now both on 43 after just 4 races in the set.
That was some impeccable play there after the shock too. I mean, just making sure to not drive into each other. There was quite a few Florida players that were, shrunken because of the shock there, but Hobby and Woofle were able to avoid them pretty seamlessly. And now Florida's starting to pull just a tiny bit away as we enter the later stages of the game. And Daisy Cruiser, which they had selected in the last race of Game 2, coming back into their track pick. But we will be going to Mario Circuit 3 instead.
Yeah, we're seeing Florida gain almost 20 points off that race after another really solid race just prior. Getting some momentum in their favor. Mario Circuit 3 might shut that down a little just with how this track is played. But I feel like you kind of have enough front presence, and if you're Hobby and you're confident enough in your running ability, you can probably just start running. Give everybody really strong pull odds.
And we see 3 Florida players jumping out here to run, along with 3 California players. So it seems like an even split 3-3.
Seeing a lot of people in the back, the most we've seen yet for any track.
But if it was going to happen, this would be the one for it to happen on.
Yep, Drizzy
Nice job
trailing
getting
out.
that cut by Woofle there.
Yep, to avoid the trail by his teammate. Really, their driving has just been really impeccable this set so far.
Yeah, if you're Hobby, probably the thing you have to be the most careful of right now is making sure those Long Beach players in 4 through 6 can't pull any dodges. Because if you start getting a dodge distance, you start giving 4th, 5th, and 6th a star, all it's going to take is their players to get a shock pull. Or even your team gets a shock pull and it gets shut down by 3 people dodging in 4 through 6. I think they are starting to be at dodge distance right now if you're taking a look at the map. And Blue is going to be out.
Blue shell out. We'll see if Hobby was able to cycle, especially because Woofle was in 2nd place for almost basically this entire time.
Doesn't look like they were, but this is going to hit Hobby pretty close to a boost panel, so they can recover pretty quickly afterwards. We're seeing Kuso recovering up to 6th, having a Golden Shroom. The Golden Shroom getting immediately shocked out of them.
by Florida.
A lot of Florida players into back dodging. Looks like Florida now having a top 4 on lap 3.
They accidentally dodged Florida and Bill in 5th place. That's brutal. But you see Raspada with their own build coming up now, cutting ahead, and a few other Long Beach players cutting up as well. Now they're in the tops.
Kusa choosing to hold their star, just missing starring out a Florida player as well. They've got the star to go through so much of this off-road here towards the end. We got 3 shrooms for the end. They're going to be able to hit all the off-road cuts here. Kusa going to make their way up to 3rd, 4th. Kusa doing a really good job getting 3rd there.
That red shell by Zane to steal the spot. That's incredible.
That is devastating. Yeah, Long Beach getting 2 through 5. And we're seeing what we saw a lot game 1 of Hobby getting 1st and then Long Beach just occupying every single spot right after.
Yeah, missing that 1-3 is brutal for Florida, but what a great play there.
That's more than likely going to be a gain for Long Beach.
Yep, and now
keeps Florida in the lead, only up by 2 now.
That is insane. This match, we're entering the second half of Game 3, and I think this set is closer than it's ever been right now. And we see the Wii Rainbow Road pick again for Long Beach. I believe this is their 4th time selecting it. What better time than right now?
Eventually. 30 on race number 30. Someday.
I think we're going there.
Race 30 is the time where we will finally get it. We're finally going to Wee Rainbow Road, and we'll be here for a minute. This is the longest track in this game by a good couple of seconds.
It's such a strong anti-1 as well. I mean, we saw Long Beach selected a lot as an anti-1 earlier, but I don't think there's ever been a better, like, if you took the situations of all the previous times they selected this track, I don't think any of them combined match up to right now.
Yeah, we saw Raspada pull to red at the start. That's the best thing you can do with that first set, but they did get trailed out by Zane. Unfortunately enough, Hobby doing a very good job, I think, at being able to keep these top spots here. Does look like Zane is just breaking out into an early lead. Not by much, though. Lot of people taking the no-item shortcut there. Very good job by everybody. We're seeing Lap 1 and Wee Rainbow Road especially. It's a bit of... You're kind of playing the lottery a little bit to see who's going to get hit out. No spot is really bad, I would say. Like, getting hit out isn't the worst thing in the world with how long this track is and how much time you have to recover. But you kind of want everybody to be on the same page about what's going to happen. We're seeing a lot of Long Beach in the front. Looks like 3 out of the top 4 are Long Beach right now. I think even more, actually, looking at the map as well. But we do see now Kusa with all these attack items is a bit stuck. Not going to be able to really chain things much. And Blue being out with Long Beach in 1 isn't great for them.
Great little swerve there by Kuso to avoid the blue line as well.
Very good job. It does look like somebody just got hit out. I think that was Florida. Now looking like
this looks like a top. This is a top 3 right now for Long Beach.
You got to be careful. Blue just happened. Now Long Beach can have a pretty safe run for a little while. They've got time to start chaining for horns, chaining for shrooms. Make sure somebody can dodge the blue. Because with how long this track is and how big the breaks can get, when you've got a top 5 like Long Beach now does, you can really afford to take turns being in first once someone gets a horn. Kusa doing a good job with that half pipe there. Going back to Woofle now. Woofle, the Florida player on the top, doing some really good work, firing 2 people out, making their way up to 3rd.
Mm-hmm. It's really good.
And pulling a rank too.
They have the rank for defense and pocket. Avoids the bananas.
We saw earlier alongside.
Bomb is thrown up. Oh,
what? How? Where was the bomb going?
Happened?
It just bounced to the right, just perfectly to hit Woofles. They
That was
well enough.
insane. How many times is Woofle gonna get hit by a bomb? And then shock.
He's
right
just
after
getting
set.
bullied right now. This poor guy. This isn't. What did he do? Who did he hurt? This isn't fair to him. What is happening?
Right now, this is a top 4 for Long Beach right now. Woofle's able to break into the 4th place spot, but we see a lot of dodges right behind. We do see DC from UF right there. He's going to take the double that Woofle was aiming for, though.
Woofle in 3rd
right now. It looks like a 3-4 for UF if they're able to maintain this.
There's a blue
but there's going to
out.
be a top. There's going to be a top 2 for Long Beach. I think it's gonna target Woofle, but it's not gonna hit him in time.
Yeah, Woofle snags 3rd. It does look like Florida's gonna have a couple people in the back. I think 10 and 12. Florida doing what they can to minimize the damage there. Is still gonna be another gain for Long Beach.
Yeah,
they're gonna have a lead.
Now in the lead.
A lot.
They're in the lead. I believe it's gonna be a 10-point lead, maybe a little less. No, a 12-point lead actually. I was wrong. On both accounts. And we see UF kind of default to their anti-top track, I'd say, of Athens Dash. They've picked this pretty frequently throughout the set as well.
Yeah, we saw Long Beach was kind of jonesing for Wee Rainbow Road for a long time. They finally got it. We can see the same thing happen to Florida. Pick up some points here, Really
yep, and Ninja Hideaway for Long Beach. This is a pretty interesting track. You want to talk about reaching into your bag of tricks? Pulling out all the stops for finals. This track definitely fits that description. We are going to be going to Ninja Hideaway.
Ninja Hideaway, I'd say, is an interesting pick because I feel like my understanding of this track has always been it's really good for first and it's really good for back spots, just with how lethal bumps can be early on. So picking this when you have top 2 is interesting, but if I have to guess, this is probably somebody's favorite or someone just has a lot of experience with this track.
Maybe Star Platinum, since they were in first.
Woofle going to do a really good job hitting that first shortcut. Is going to be on pace to get top half, get all those coins early on. Especially with how rare coins can be here. If you can get this top half lap 1, it's very good. does just miss
Oh.
top path, but they do still get the bottom path shortcut. Hobby's down there with them as well.
It's not going to be the end of the world, at least.
It's like Woofle's gonna go back and forth. They've got the bomb now. They can get some revenge.
And
So
Mindy gets
Minnie's
sniped
getting
there.
trailed there. Minnie had a pretty nasty back hitter just then. Woofle ramming into that wall up there is pretty unfortunate. Gonna back that bomb. Looks like it does
It will hit a Long Beach player.
Does hit a Long Beach player. Very good. They've got quad trims now in 9th. Pretty good pull. You know, you don't have to worry about getting the shortcut just right up here. You just kind of drive forward. Get in 5th now with a couple of these trims. We might see them just go for top path here, try to get some more coins, having only 4 coins right now. They are going to go for the bottom path, going to prioritize speed, the immediate speed. So they hit a wall a little bit. Didn't get the drifts they maybe would have wanted. I think they are going to try for top path
coins.
this time.
Yep.
Picked up a couple here. And they've got a star now behind that last trim in 6th. Very good items they've got right now. And getting another trick, getting some more coins. And they're back up to 8 coins now. Minnie does snipe those doubles they were going for.
Gets a little greedy. They had the star. They could have gone for the single and be fine. But they are going to activate the star, and that red is going to hit out both players, it looks like. And now,
very
in second place with triple greens.
Zane has a red behind
is
him.
really far in first, though.
They're going to go for top hat this time, play it safe, maybe back these greens. We're going to see them pull the triple greens. Pretty smart. You've got 3 defense going into the end with some people behind you from CSULB.
Going for the
They've got 4 shells for the end of this race now.
But then there's the shock, and we do see a bill dodge, and it's Kuso.
Kuso now
with a star in the second place. And blue shell is thrown, but it's going to go for a Spada here.
It is.
No, it's going to go for a Spada. And that's going to be another top 2 for Long Beach. Just
top
with
beyond, even more.
Incredible shock.
They got more of that. That might be a top 4 even for Long Beach.
This is really strong for them. That's a top 5. 7.
It's
That's
a top
insane.
5-7.
That's a 38-point gain. Oh my goodness. And Hobby breaking that 6th place. I guess he might have read my comment in Twitch chat saying if there's a top 6, I would gift subs.
No subs are getting gifted, unfortunately.
Hobby's sparing my wallet, but that is an incredible result for Long Beach.
Now up 50 points.
Especially because they only dodged one person with that shock. They only dodged Kuso.
And we're seeing now Long Beach is going to pick Dragon Driftway. We're seeing another one of those things of kind of having to reach into the bag of tricks a little bit. Rock Mountain. And we talked about baggers being baggers for multiple reasons. Rock is a bagger for one specific reason, and it is that triple shroom off-road shortcut. Which, I mean, at some point, if the same thing is happening in a lot of races where, for example, you're Florida and you're seeing a lot of people in the back and in mid spots every race, you want to pick tracks that are really good for those spots. And I think this is probably the right call to pick Rock Mountain, where if you see race after race, you're in a lot of mids and maybe some upper mids, but mostly mid spots in general, you go for the tracks where you're going to pull trip shrooms in highish spots and have the best outcomes happen. So I think this is actually a really smart pick for Rock Mountain, even though it's maybe not taken super seriously.
Well, UF is down 40 points. They only have 5 races left. You have to have short-term memory, you know, especially with how brutal that shock ended up being. Dodging Kuso in a second, like you kind of have to put that out of your head immediately. You have to reset. You have to remain focused. You can't tilt off that, because if you start tilting now, then this game's going to be over in Long Beach's favor.
All right, we're seeing now lap 1 of Rock is always maybe not the most important, I would say, for this race. You see Hobby's got some reds up in 5 right now. Looking like Raspada is running right now, but yes, so many people are in the back. Blue Shell already out. I think we're just hitting that 30-second mark. Seeing Kuso going to throw those up. Just miss getting hit by the blue. He's in
Held on to that green as well to not pull a second item there, or an item refresh.
They've got the triple shrooms
now.
Gonna burn one of them right now. Might be risking taking the cut, or they're just gonna try to chain. They're not gonna have the triple shrooms for the cut here, but in 4th you might not get them anyway. I'm pulling Boo in 4. Gonna opt to use it now. Very interesting. And stealing triple shrooms from a Florida player, that is
crazy,
lethal.
Especially right before the cut.
Looks like they're maybe gonna try to hold on to it for lap 3. Interesting call there.
Or maybe they just don't want to break into. They want to be kind of in that, you know, being able to pull dodge distance for right now, I think. Because we do see a lot of UF players in the front. But they are going to
Nice
get hit
decision.
out by the rocks. 2 players get hit out by the rocks. And all of a sudden, the top 4 from UF just becomes a top 2, and a blue shell is thrown. Oh, getting hit by those rocks, they're devastating.
did have a horn,
Woofle will
though.
break the horn, though.
That red on hobby's not going to do anything.
And there's
Very
another
rough shock.
No
Looks
one
that
dodged
shocked
that shock.
A lot of people got shocked on Glider, though. So still not a terrible shock for Long
Not
Beach. You know, they've got
terrible,
some
but
people back
that's
there. That looks like a
very
pretty neutral shock
interesting.
overall.
Incredibly interesting.
Like
Right
Raspada does
before
have some
UF
mushrooms,
entered
though.
set.
Raspada's got some shrooms. I'm not sure if they've got 3, but based off the fact that he's going in the off-road, I think they have enough to go for it.
Yep, Raspada's going to pull ahead in the first right here, it looks like. Oh my god, Kuso with the 10
closing
courses
in,
being
getting the horn on
implicated to the
Woofle.
horn distance. That is crazy.
Looks like a lot of Florida could take the cut there, though. So I think Florida did make up a lot of ground. You know, they played to their out. They pulled the triple streams. A lot of them could take cut. Kuso getting fired out too.
Oh, but he uses
with bananas as well.
He uses the bananas to hit out the Florida player that hit him. And that looks like a 1-6 for Long Beach. A 1-5-6, 2-3-4 for UF. Good response, but a 9-10-12 is it's really hard right now. You could not afford to get those really low spots like that right now. It's a good response, but now with 4 races left, now Long Beach is really
Florida did manage to minimize the damage there pretty well. Long Beach only gained 4 points off that, but with just 4 races to go, Long Beach being up 54, you know, they've now maybe got some breathing room. You know, just pick some comfort tracks. Just try to stay the course. You know, like if you can keep every race within 10 points, then like you're fine. You know, you win. It doesn't have to be a pretty win. You know, you just got to win even by 2 is all you need. We're seeing does look like UF is going to pick 3DS Rainbow Road. I know this is a personal favorite of Max. So that it goes going to be interesting for them. We're seeing just Long Beach has just had some really solid team play just the whole way through. And I think that's shown through on Rock where like Kuso was able to get that brutal horn out. You know, like even if maybe Florida can get like the textbook things you're supposed to do on a given track, Long Beach can still kind of pick up these little plays where they can like pick up 1 or 2 spots every race. And then it adds up. Woofle did disconnect. I'm not sure what spot he finished in, but he is going to be starting in 12th now. Let me see. We are going to 3DS Rainbow Road now.
This is a track that UF has been trying to pick and select, so they finally get it.
We're seeing Max breaking out to an early lead, about what I would expect. You know, he's very experienced with this track. We're seeing Long Beach, Kuso doing what he can right now, but it does look like Raspada is now getting up there as well. Does look like Max is still able to hang on to his early lead. We see Hobbies up there as well. Yeah, early on in this track, especially with where these item sets are placed and all the opportunities to trick and the gliders, the breakaway usually starts to happen around lap 2. You ever seen Kuso's driving? Everybody's just kind of driving forward. Things are being pretty peaceful, you know. So there's a lot of mid spots right now by Long Beach as well. We've got Zane in 7th, or Zane in 6th with a plant. Is probably going to be stuck and unable to use that for a little bit just with all his teammates around him. Very good opportunity for Long Beach to see a blue on their side right now. You can break up that run in a little bit. It doesn't hit in a great spot for Florida either. You know, a little bit later on Max is by those boost panels, and that doesn't hurt too much. But Max might have been able to dodge. I don't think their lead got bled into that much.
Not at all. We do see some bullet bills coming out. This pack is really tight. It is a top 2 still for UF. This is just really close overall, but these UF players back here, they got to get up in the front now. They got to pull the really strong items. They got to play really smart here.
It does look like Florida still got some top 2 presence. If they can hold on to that, that'll be great for them.
Obviously going to get redded out
as well. Having it red is rough. Not sure who's in that ghost there, but Kuso's falling off the track from some unfortunate mushroom timing. They do have 1 more mushroom to recover, but they did bleed some spots to Florida from it, though. It does look like Florida did come 11th. Very good race for Florida, though. Top 2,
yeah.
6, 8, 9 is pretty good. That makes up a good bit of ground for Florida there.
that 3-4-5 though is crucial for Long Beach, especially since with their lead right now, they're able to cancel out that top 2. So this could only be a small gain for Florida at best. Yep.
Yeah, looking like I think Florida's now down, I believe, 46 from 54. So they've still gained 8 off that. That's very solid.
And you have 3 races to make up 46 points. It's doable, but it's incredibly hard.
We've seen Florida have multiple 20, 30-point races. They can do it, and we've seen them do it before. But back to back to back, which is what they're going to need. I mean, it can happen. We saw Florida have a couple really strong races earlier on, just in this set of 12 alone. We see we are going to go to Hyrule Circuit. That's another Florida track pick.
That was one they were selecting quite often during game 1, I believe.
And we're seeing it finally come up now on race 34 of this set. You know, if they've held on to this one for a while, maybe it's an ace up their sleeve. You know, if they can have a top 5 like a Long Beach did before,
then this game is right back into.
Suddenly
this
makes
game
it
is right back
very
into.
close.
Yep.
Really good driving here by Woofles early on. Seeing a lot of Florida out front early on. I think Raspada's in second, Max in 1. The 2 Long Beach players are pretty far back right now. Pretty interesting. Raspada
Max
did
gets
trail
hit
Max
out
out.
by Raspada.
Woofles is right behind. We're going to see who can hit the new item shortcut here, though. Hobby's very close as well. Woofles doing a really good job hitting that, and they've overtaken Raspada, too. Zane's right behind them with triple greens, though. Does
Really
manage to
good
put
driving by
there.
Woofle, though, to avoid running into them at the very least. Trailing the banana
Long Beach
as
has
well.
bottom 3 right now, which they definitely can make it up. Woofle's now trailing with a teammate behind them. Are they going to discard this Nana up here?
They have bottom 3, but now they're in first, second, I believe. No, they're in 1, 4, 5. Hobby and Woofle will hold 2 and 3 for
Looks like
UF.
Florida's also got a player in the back now with Long Beach as well, just to kind of be careful and make sure they can't have anything too crazy going on. But there's a lot of Florida right now. Like Long Beach has like 9, 10, and 12. They've got Florida. There's someone back there for some back presence too. But you know, it's
Hobby's taking the cut. They might end up.
At,
They're in first here, but so's Mini. Mini cutting ahead of Woofle.
Woofle might drop this Nana soon because when it's out,
and there's a blue shell that Long Beach was holding the blue shell for Raspada, and it comes out just as Hobby gets into first. And now
Hobby is
going to
get a better item set though from it.
He will, but this is really close. Woofle will be able to get into second place with his triple greens. Oh, let's see how this ends. Oh my goodness, Raspada messes up their cut, but he gets the trail!
The trail beats the orbitals there.
Greens. Crazy. Max able to get second, but Zane's gonna zoom past to get third, and his shot comes
out. There's a late shock there as well. I think this is still a good race for Florida, but maybe not as good as they need it to be. You know, 2, 4,
is a good
5,
race,
7,
but
8,
that 1-3-6 is crucial for Long. Any sort of small
yeah.
loss is fine. And getting those spots definitely ensures a small loss.
I mean,
and
yeah,
with 2 races left now.
This should be a positive race, yeah. So, yeah, some more mental math here right now. I believe Florida is now down 42, so they had another slight gain, but 42 with 2 to go. Both of these next 2 races need to be positive. The margin of error at this point is now gone.
It's incredibly small. You have no. You have to play like there's no error, or there's no margin of error.
Yeah, we're seeing Athens Dash now, which they've picked a few times. Doesn't look like they're going to get it. We are going to be going to Dragon Driftway, excuse me there. Which will be pretty interesting.
This could be a really, really strong pick for Long Beach. I mean, if you know Nisk, this is really, really good.
And I have to point out, I think what's driving this pretty strong set right now so far by Long Beach is we're spot on 114 points after 10 races. We saw Hobby put up a 138, I think, in game 2, and we now might see
a 130 and a 138. Yeah.
Kusa's burning out as well. Hobby's also a lot further down there in points right now, which might be driving why Florida's been struggling a little bit more than they have the first 2.
Long Beach has just been able to hit out Florida's best player, and You know, they've just been able to capitalize on every time. Like you saw the blue shell that they were holding for Raspada. The second hobby got up there, they just threw it and it was on lap 3, so it was even more devastating than what it could have been.
Yeah, Kuso
Yeah,
doing a really good job with
they've
these
been
dream cuts right
capitalizing
now.
on every opportunity they've been given so far.
Kuso doing a very good job with these stream cuts. They're now up in 6. There's looks like a lot of Florida actually up front pretty early on. I think we see Raspada's up in 1, Kuso's up in 5th, but there's a good amount of, I'm seeing some yellow actually in the back. I'm seeing now a bit more of a mix. So yeah, we got Hobby in 2, Raspada in 1, Kuso
Raspada
in
in
3.
first again.
Both Raspada and
This-
Hobby are going to take the cut. Kuso is going to opt to go around, pick up a couple
I
more
think this
points.
is a 1-3-4 for Long Beach right now. If they hold these spots, that could be game.
That green could hit a teammate, though. It does look like somebody spun out. Not sure if that's from the green or not, but now Kuso's got quad shrooms in 3rd. That isn't part, though, from that gap, though, that those two have been building with these shroom cuts happening. Kuso now probably is going to have to go for the no-NM shortcut if they want to be able to overtake Hobby, especially if they can't pull any reds.
And here we go. We're going into lap 3. 1-3-4, even though top 3 has a really massive breakaway right now.
These
If
top
Long
three
Beach
are
holds
kind of
this,
gone right now, yeah.
if Long Beach holds this 1-3 or even the 1-3-4, that could definitely be game.
Kuso's got a bomb now as well. We've seen so many plays happen with bombs this set. Yeah, the rest of the pack, you know, with how far gone these top 3 are, item pulls start getting really weird. Like, you'll probably see some 4th place bombs. You'll see maybe like a 6th place bill even. Kuso ultimately
We
now
see
playing speed item.
Hobby skirts out into first. They will take 1, but it looks like Long Beach is gonna have 2-3-4. Blue shell
blue
is
coming out at
out.
the
This is a
end,
2.
not
That's
gonna
a
hit
3.
anybody
That's a
still
4. That's
driving.
a 5. I think that's gonna be game for Long Beach right there. Everything after 1.
Yeah, 2 through 5, we saw it when they needed, every time they've needed a race like that of just getting everything behind 1, they've gotten it, and just race after race. I think something like at least 10 of the races in the 30 something we've seen, that's been exactly what's happened, and that does confirm
And that does
CSU Long
confirm it.
Beach as their
California
P4
State
winners.
Long Beach, in their first ever season in Collegiate Karting League, have come out as the Division 4 champions. We will still have a race 12, but I'm sure the players in the call are celebrating right now as the clock
PD
winds
Piranha swap,
down.
yeah. The PD Piranha swap, this is their victory lap typically. Their run on PD Piranha. We've seen it before when they've been up by over 40 going to the last race. This is not any different. The PD Piranhas into random. I've heard this is something of a CSULB tradition. And we're seeing Merry Mountain picks by Florida. Very, very thematic given what the next official CKL event is coming up in a couple weeks.
A Secret Santa event. And
So
we
we're gonna
will be
random with the
seeing
Sky
Sky
Garden.
Garden random pick. I love to see it personally. You know, back last season when FIU won Division 3, Sky Garden was one of our main tracks, and we were able to play it a few times during playoffs. And you know, it's such a nice track. The music is so nice. It's fun to drive, and when you have a guaranteed victory like this, you take your long victory lap. You celebrate with your friends and your teammates. This is very well earned for Long Beach.
Yeah, if I'm Long Beach, I'm probably playing for points right now. I mean, you know, you've got a victory lap. You're up. You're having fun. You're on PD Piranha. Just, it's a great way to end out your first season. You know, you're ending on a win. You've grown a lot as a team too. You know, like you're seeing like Florida's team. They previously beat by only I think 14 against what was considered a weaker lineup than today, and they're now coming out here, putting up a 46 game 1, only going down 38 game 2, and now being up almost 50 game 3. You're seeing right now as well, doing a very good job even on PD running on Sky Garden. There's a baby Roseland as well at the front. I think that's Long Beach too even.
Yep.
You're seeing Long Beach doing just so dominant up in the front right now on Sky Garden, which is a pretty hard runner, you know? The only big shortcut you can take without a mushroom. Kuso might get redded here. They did just pass someone with a red, but it looks like they're going to be safe at least for a little bit longer. And Raspada having triple greens, it can be some really good protection. And Kuso having triple greens too, you know, you can start to form a bit of a wall that nobody can get past.
And now we enter the final lap. Race 36. Long Beach confirmed with their victory. Enjoying it out. Getting your item ghosted doesn't matter.
Once again,
Missing the
having every
trick
spot
doesn't
behind
matter.
first. Having
It's
every
kind-
spot behind first. Having even more orbitals.
That's been kind of the big thing. We see monster wheels there by Watt. Mini right there with the mushrooms going to be able to take the cut. Kuso's going to be able to take the cut as well as they enter the final straightaway before this season enters the history books, California State Long Beach are your Division 4 Collegiate Karting League champions.
Florida does end with a top 2-4. That's probably going to be a neutral race in the end, keeping it pretty close by Florida, who's done an incredible job this set. Props need to be given to Florida, you know that. Props need to be given to both these teams. They have come further than they were seeded to be in the finals. Neither of these teams were seeded to be here, and they both got here.
Immense respect to Florida, especially after everything that happened last season. We weren't sure if they were going to be able to return. You know, there was a lot of question marks about their availability, but they came back. They came back stronger than ever. Then not only did they make playoffs as a wild card team, the 4th seed, they upset Arizona. They got to finals. They fall just short, but this is definitely a great season for them and a season to remember.
If you're Florida, I would still be, maybe in the moment, you know, it stings a little to come so far and still lose. But I mean, in this moment, you know, to come from coming 4th place in D4 last season to now being in finals, taking it to game 3, doing so well. I mean, upsetting the best team in your division by what I think at the time, what everybody would have said a long shot, you know, with a 9-1 record by Arizona. I think Florida really holding their own here and just proving like how strong they can be. And congratulations again have to be given to California State Long Beach, especially on their first season being a division champion.
An incredible season. I mean, the competition that they faced, you know, Utah with Snowy, Max and Hobby right there with Florida, Lemons, Brown 420, Nubster Nugget with UCSD, 6 and Fitchy, Arizona. It was not, it was a really hard division. This was hard fought. They came in kind of as a question mark, but they end with the crown. Division 4 belongs to Long Beach.
We're seeing this is also now, I think, more interesting kind of on the collegiate scene at large. This is also, I think, the first time we've kind of seen that the Southeast has been dominating Mario Kart this year. I think we saw an NRC, FFA, almost every division was won somewhere in the Southeast. I think we saw Georgia Southern had a win. I think we saw Alabama had a win. And I want to say somewhere as well in Florida won D4 for FFA. We saw D2 get won by, I believe, Alabama here. Jeez, well, we saw Maryland win D2. We've been dominated by the East this year. So a win for the West Coast as well is pretty big.
Very nice for them. Florida International won D3 NRC as well for that Southeast dominance. So for Long Beach to be able to carve this out for them, you know, not just, you know, for their state, for their region is great. But getting it done for your school, I mean, there's no feeling like it. There's no feeling like it.
Yeah, we saw Michigan picked up a win in D1. I believe somewhere in Ohio picked up a win for in a different NRC FFA div. But we saw the Midwest has carved out a couple wins. This has been the first win for the West Coast so far this semester. So
yep.
Especially to be the one to do it in your first season as a team, you gotta feel great.
Yes, sir. And joining us here to be interviewed very quickly, California State Long Beach Captain Raspada. Raspada, how are you doing, my man?
Oh, I am on top of the world, man. Like all the hard work paid off.
I could imagine, man. With all the stuff you guys had to overcome this season, you fought Max and Hobby super hard these finals. You fought, you know, Fitchy and 6 in Arizona, Snowy in Utah. There was just such stiff competition from Division 4 this time around. How did Long Beach? How did you guys persevere? How did you come so far, and how did you ultimately win this championship?
I would like to thank my entire team for really being like the best team I could ask for opening into this collegiate league, because I wasn't really expecting much. Like I wasn't even like forcing like the Yoshi meta, because I just assumed like, oh, we're just gonna feel it out the first season, see how it goes. But it turns out we have a lot of goated players like Watt, Zane, Miniature, Cody, who barely played before joining the team, was still pretty good. Kuso, sorry if I forget anyone, but like it's hard to come up with names right now. There's so many of you guys, but yeah, everyone just was very enthusiastic about doing the time trials, like much more than I expected. Like just one per week, and then maybe like learning a NISC or tech on one other track. And yeah, we just added up our track list a little bit over time. Like we were a bit limited this season because it was our first season, so we didn't have as many track picks. Like going into war number 3, we were running out of like mid tracks to go for, but we just barely used all of our runners, and it all came in clutch. And yeah, especially shout out to Ninja Hideaway.
Yeah.
I had full faith in my team going into finals that we could learn this track and like throw a curveball at the other team because like it's a very janky track if you like don't know like the roof strats and what you're doing and whatnot. So picking that as a runner and then strengthening my ability to do the NISC was really clutch, and we pulled a shot. It was
I
amazing.
wanted to ask when you got that shock going into lap 3 with how much you prepared for this track and for this very moment, game 3 among the last final races, the banner on the line. I want to be taken through. How was the call like? How was the excitement? How was the energy?
Okay, so we were already up pretty high because like I think we had like top 4 or 5 or something. Like just when we pulled that shock, we were already up ahead. Like I rained out Max or Hob in second after lap 3 or going into lap 3, and like just getting the shock, I'm like, damn, they're not gonna get their shock to flip this race. So we just called it in the glider so that most of us could just keep their momentum going. And yeah, we almost fridged. Like it was a little bit disappointing, but like yeah, just a huge point bump was it really gave a huge wave of spirits to our team because it was going even for a long time for that war, and then we just kept that up.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. We won't hold you too long. Go back, go celebrate with your team. Congratulations once again, Raspada, on your championship victory. Thank you so much for this amazing game.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
All right, and once again, we're going to give another massive congratulations to CSULB for winning Division 4 of Season 3 of the Collegiate Karting League. That is going to be it for the game for us tonight on the CKL broadcast. We do have a couple things to mention before we go. First off, we will have the CKL Secret Santa coming up in just a couple weeks. This will be a 2-day event.
It is going to be very exciting. It's going to be, there's a lot to look forward to here.
It's going to take place over the weekend of the 14th. That'll be 2 weeks from now. It'll be a lot of fun. All you got to do is just sign up. You'll get paired with a partner. We'll handle most of the work for you. And for social media, we now also have a Blue Sky page at collegiatekl.bsky.social. You can find us on Blue Sky. We'll post all the same updates we posted on Twitter now. You can find all of that over there. And I believe that'll be it from us at the Collegiate Karting League. Thank you and have a great night.